It's time for the 2026 Westmoreland Sports Network annual high school football kickoff show. Again, we're here at our wonderful host, Manor Valley Golf Course, to kick off the high school football season, get everybody kind of jacked up to what's going to unfold. And I'm Jonathan Whaley, and my colleague to my right, Sean Myers. We're going to be getting you off here to our start here this afternoon. Sean, talk a little bit about what you're looking forward to when we look into the start of this football season.
Very exciting time of year, no doubt. I know all the players and coaches are ready to actually play a real game on Friday night. And I think for the first time, all of the Westmoreland County teams will be playing real games. No second scrimmage. We've seen typically Bell Vernon area in the past has done a second scrimmage, but we're going to have real meaningful football on Friday. It's no longer called Week 0. They've switched it back to Week 1 to make it a little bit more uniform and less confusing. One thing I'm looking forward to is there's a lot of young coaches in Westmoreland County now. Several new coaches to the mix. We'll be talking to a few of them here today. Scotty Hausman at York, a former player. We're now getting to the point where guys who are coaching are players that I covered not that long ago. I know you can relate to that as well.
Indeed.
Even go back to last year, Dustin Schoaf, still one of the youngest coaches all in the entire WPIAL. He did such a great job at Southmoreland. Braden Timmons takes over Kiski area. So there's a lot of youth, a youth movement in Westmoreland County in particular with the coaches, and hopefully we're going to see some really good football played in the county as well.
Well, and I think that's quite refreshing. That point you're mentioning is about how the younger guys are getting into the head coaching role. Now, we still got a couple veterans around. Coach Fazekas from Mount Pleasant, he may be one of the most tenured with 24 years, at that school, and then about 9 of them now as the head coach. So it's good to recognize that it does bring a smile to your face when you say, I described his exploits, on the football field, and all of a sudden he's in a position to be a head football coach. Sometimes at their alma mater, but sometimes going other places to get started. And I'll be talking with a number of coaches, as will you, that have been in that situation right now, including like our first coach coming up, Ty George.
And Ty George has done some really good things at Greensburg-Salem, and he's a guy that we saw play football in Westmoreland County, both at the high school and collegiate level. And there's plenty of coaches that we're very excited to talk to, and some that we're meeting for the first time. Other guys like Roger Beitel, I think the longest tenured Westmoreland County coach at Ligonier Valley, and of course John Ruane, all the great stuff that he has done with the Penn Trafford Warriors. They should be one of the best Westmoreland County teams again in 2026. And let's not forget Kevin May at Seton Hill, a little college flavor to our high school show as well. He's looking forward to a big season with the Griffins.
So at this point, one of the things that I'm excited about seeing is just how quickly maybe some of the standings may change. Most of the time when we're doing predictions or other folks do their predictions, there are certain teams you all just throw their name up there right away because they're consistently being up at the top, winning the section or competing for it. This year I'll be interested in asking some of the coaches how they see their conference shaping up this year. Will we hear a few different names being mentioned as contenders for the conference championship? I think that'll be an interesting thing as our show goes forward here this afternoon.
No doubt, and it's a new cycle. So realignment means that a lot of teams will have completely different conferences that they're navigating here. Some teams have even moved in terms of their classification. Bell Vernon area comes to mind, dropping down to 3A where they won state titles the last time they were in that classification. So it does take a little bit longer the first year in a cycle to kind of gauge the conference and where teams stand, but I think that makes for some fascinating outcomes.
Well, this Friday night, the lights will begin. So we'll take our first break and then we'll come back, and I think we're going to have our first coach join us up here. And glad to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Beautiful Manor Valley Golf Course. A lot of people up here today from a couple of our area schools holding fundraising activities. When I came up in here, I don't know about you, but when I drove in here today, I didn't get stopped. I could see the man that was down there directing people because the lot was so full with cars. And finally, we're ready to start talking football. We'll be back with the start of it all. Glad to have you with us on this Sunday watching our annual high school football kickoff show right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Your next golf adventure awaits at Manor Valley Golf Course in Export. Manor Valley offers 18 scenic holes over gentle sloping fairways and the purest putting surfaces around. Manor Valley Golf Course in Export is the perfect place to host your next golf outing, banquet party, or shower. Manor Valley also offers league play and great membership rates. Tee times available. Call 724-744-4242. Visit ManorValleyGC.com.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
The 2025 season was a bit of a struggle for Greensburg-Salem. The Golden Lions won just 3 games, including a single win in conference play. They do return a pretty experienced offensive line to the field in 2026, however, and they will lean heavily upon their quarterback, Brody Chismar, a 4-year starter. After 7 wins and a playoff appearance in 2024, Greensburg-Salem had higher expectations last year. A 5-game skid in the middle of the season derailed any hopes for another postseason, though. Chismar explained what he saw as the biggest differences and how those lessons will be applied in 2026.
Sophomore year discipline was way different than last year. We got pushed more this year. Last year, we went to the playoffs, expected it just to come back again. It wasn't going to happen. This year, we want to get pushed again like sophomore year and see what we could do.
Chismar was a bright spot in a disappointing season, as he threw for more than 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns, while he also led the team with nearly 500 yards on the ground. He has earned the trust of his teammates, including junior receiver Braden Miller.
It's his eyes, man. It's his eyes and he's able to execute things very well. 3 of my touchdowns I scored last year were off of scramble plays. He's able to see what that pocket is like and where to go, what to do, and we're there to help him do that stuff. He's able to execute very well.
Miller, who ranked second on the team in receiving yards a year ago, could be even better as a deep threat this year, while junior tight end Jackson Stevie also is back in the mix after ranking second in receptions. Meanwhile, Chris Bruni is among the players vying for reps at running back. The group up front must lead the way, with junior Elijah McKinley and senior Colin Carloni among the pillars of the offensive line that has high hopes this year.
Yeah, a lot of returning guys. I think there's only one guy who's new to the starting O-line this year. But overall, I think they're all really great guys. You know, there's always going to be a guy that's bigger, faster, and stronger. But when we all work together and we all know what we're doing, I don't think anyone's going to be able to get past us.
The Golden Lions gave up 33 or more points in each of their losses, so solidifying the defense will be paramount. Hockey player Cooper Outley has joined the team and looks to provide some thump at linebacker. The Class 3A Interstate Conference includes reigning conference champion Elizabeth Forward, while Bell Vernon area drops down from 4A, so the path to the playoffs won't be easy for Coach Ty George's crew. But the group seems to be taking his message to heart.
It's going to need to be more of a team aspect. We lost a couple of our bigger guys. We're lacking a little bit of size, but we can definitely make that up if we are actually playing like a team. If we play together, do our assignments, execute, we can actually get stuff done.
Have that aggression of a lion, have the heart of a lion. As our coach George says, buy into the program, buy into the community, buy into your brothers that stand across from you. Overall, it's just have the heart of the lion and be part of the family, be part of the group and part of the program 100% of the time. Greensburg-Salem will open its season here at historic Offutt Field hosting Highlands. They'll also be at home for their conference opener against Southmoreland, and they'll finish up the season at Derry area. This training camp report is brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, now with online ordering at playitagainsports.com.
I am the swiftest creature alive. I can make it. I will make it.
That's where we come in. The Collision Shop by Jason Mignon is your one-stop shop for all things auto body repair. Our experienced technicians and state-of-the-art facilities have you covered. Body repairs, refinishing, glass replacement, and more. Our friendly office staff is happy to assist you through every step of your vehicle's repair process. Visit thecollisionshopbyjason.com for our complete list of services.
Welcome back to Manor Valley Golf Course for the 2026 edition of the Westmoreland Sports Network High School Kickoff Preview Show. And leading off our group of coaches here today is the young coach and a great college and high school football player in Westmoreland County. That's Ty George. Ty, I was joking with you. We were kind of chatting during the break, and I said, it looked like you've been getting some good golfing in. You got a tan like George Hamilton there. But you said you had a nice summer. Talk a little about what your summer's been like, and then we'll get into the football talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jonathan. And, just between practices, I do like to play some golf, went on a couple vacations. So I feel like I've been out in the sun since May. So, yeah, I've been out a bunch, but it's been great, the balance of the both, and it's just been an awesome summer so far.
Now, yesterday you scrimmaged Latrobe. I think, was that at Latrobe?
Correct.
Maybe share with our viewers to kind of get started your impressions of how your team came out of that scrimmage. Did they accomplish some of the things you were hoping for?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great overall experience for our kids, especially some of our younger guys. We have some kids who didn't get to participate in the scrimmage last year, maybe because of injuries or, they were just younger on our team. But the ability for them to be able to get in there and get reps and compete against a bigger school, it was a huge benefit for us. And we were really happy, with the outcome of it and how our kids were able to compete. And, we walked away healthy, which is obviously
always
the number one overall
yes.
goal for all the teams in Westmoreland County whenever you scrimmage. So it was a great day.
Well, last season your squad was 1-4 in the conference and 3-7 and finished in 5th place. Talk a little bit about what your expectations are for this year.
Yeah, you look at it, it's a great conference head to toe. Even with some of the changes, with some new teams coming in, we kept a larger amount of the teams in the conference the same. And, just we bring back a lot of those local rivalries. We're not traveling too far for a lot of our games in the conference, which is great. And I think, with a couple years of being in this cycle now, I think there should be a lot of competitive games. So, we're looking forward to competing against some of the teams that, we've been competing against in the last cycle. And then these new teams coming in, we're looking forward to, getting to see what the competition's like with them as well. So we're excited.
Now, for the folks looking at this gentleman to my left, Coach Ty George, he was an outstanding quarterback at Hempfield Area High School and did some good things there. And then you went to Seton Hill. You were telling me you played wide receiver over there. And you've got a quarterback coming back that put up some pretty decent numbers last year. And maybe talk a little bit about that young man.
Yeah, Brody Chismore, he's rolling into his 4th year of the position, which is crazy to think about. I feel like just yesterday he was a freshman getting his first reps, and now we're here talking about his senior year. So, he's the leader for us. He kind of drives us on the offensive side of the ball, and, just his ability to make plays for us, whether it be running, whether it be throwing. He just does a great job. He's so dynamic, and, he's just such a great leader. I think that's the best thing he's embraced going into his senior year. He's been more vocal. He's setting the tone, not just with his play, but with his words as well. So we expect big things from him, and I know the guys in the huddle, they have a lot of belief in him whenever he's in there, so we expect a lot from him.
Now, last year I think the defense, some of the things I read about you or the team this year, your defense has to maybe take a step up or two. I think to maybe be a playoff team. Tell us a little about your defensive assessment.
Yeah, that's one of the best things I think about us coming into this year is we had a lot of younger guys on that side of the ball last year. And, you look at it now, those guys have another year of experience. We have almost our entire secondary back, which is great. We return a couple guys on the defensive line as well. So, I think those game reps, it's really hard to give those to kids early on when they're freshmen and sophomores. But whenever they do get them, it proves to be super valuable down the line. And now those kids are juniors and seniors for us. So we definitely plan to take a hold of that experience and use it for our greater good on the defensive side of the ball. And I think it's going to make a big difference this year.
For fans that will be watching the Greensburg Salem Golden Lions this year, describe for them, if you would, when your team is clicking on offense and defense, what are you looking at on the field that makes you smile?
Yeah, I think on offense, this is fluidity and just, the tempo in which we play. A lot of the times when we have good drives and good series, just everything, like you said, is all synced up, and the tempo in which everybody's on the same page with makes a huge difference for us. And then obviously on the defensive side of the ball, I'm sure a lot of teams feel this way. It's, flying around, making plays and just, the ability to, change the momentum of the game, whether it be a turnover, whether it be a big hit. A lot of that passion, that energy and emotion comes from the defensive side of the ball. So I think, for us to have success on each side, that's what's going to have to happen.
Have there been any surprises so far on your squad, players that maybe didn't have a big role last year but have kind of elevated their game?
Yeah, absolutely. One on each side of the ball for you is Tyreek Young. He's a kid who he played for us last year, and then he came out this year, and he's been playing some running back for us, and he's done a really, really nice job. He's got a lot of carries in the scrimmage yesterday, and he's shown in camp that he has some breakaway speed, but he also has some toughness to lower his shoulder and take some hits as well. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you look at Cooper Outley. He was actually a hockey kid for us. He played hockey up until his senior year here, and now he's taking on a linebacker role for us, and he's really embraced it. He's a natural fit for it. So I joke with him all the time, I got to hang out around the hockey team more because they have a bunch of tough kids, who are willing to compete, and he's definitely done that, and he's done a great job.
Coach, I'd like to play a game of word association with you.
Okay.
I was thinking about how I wanted to try to add a little different spark to my interviews, and I'm going to say a word, or one word.
Okay.
I want you to respond with football parlance. So, and you can use more than one word. I'm going to hold it to just say that
right,
one word.
Good.
And then you look at it in terms of how would I use that in talking about my football team or a football player. So you ready to do that with me?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Speed. I would say, quickness, burst, fast.
Toughness.
Ability to overcome adversity.
Intelligence.
I would say football IQ.
Okay. Leadership.
Somebody who sets the tone or the example.
Game IQ.
Smart, savvy player.
Resilience.
I would say toughness.
Okay. Selflessness.
I would say team over self.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Easier than I thought. All right. I was worried there. You had me on my toes. That was a good one, though.
Well, but I just wanted to do something.
I like it.
Fresh.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, it'll be interesting. And I know the coaches over there that are going to be coming up, they had their antennae up. Was that right, guys? You wasn't expecting. No quizzes, but just trying to have some different thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, a friend of mine, I was talking with her one day this week. She's from Springdale, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you've ever been there, but that's not too far from where I live. And she's a former Dynamo cheerleader, as well as she's a Pride Crimson Tide fan. So she asked me, she said, Jonathan, what is your all-time greatest football movie? And depending on the age of the coaches that we're asking at, we're going to have maybe a different one because they've seen a lot more. So she said, Remember the Titans is her all-time favorite. What would you say is your all-time favorite football movie?
Remember the Titans is hard to beat, but if I had to pick one, I would actually say We Are Marshall. I think it's a great story about how a community and a town who goes through something, they're able to rally around, a football team and a program, and it's kind of a cool story that brings light to a dark situation that ends up turning into a positive. So my sister actually went and attended Marshall, so I've actually been able to go down there. So it was cool to kind of see how they've paid tradition to those kind of things. And so if I could pick Remember the Titans, I would probably say We Are Marshall.
Well, no one could argue about that because that's your opinion, and you backed it up in terms of why you feel that way. What are you most looking forward to Friday night, first game? Where will your mind kind of go when it gets close to football kickoff time?
Yeah, you look for us for week one here. We're at home. Last year we played our first 3 games on the road. So the ability to be home and get to play a home game for your first week, it's exciting. We start school this week too, so you feel like everybody in the community is out and about. We're kind of getting back into that rhythm and routine. So, we're just looking to Friday night set off it and just the tradition and culture and history there. And I know everybody's super excited for it, and I am as well.
Coach, I hope you guys get off to a good start this season, and best of luck to you. Thanks for being a part of our program, and I hope I didn't make you a little too much nervous.
No, Jonathan, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, that's head coach Ty George of the Greensburg-Salem Golden Lions, and again, they're looking forward to stepping up this year and making the postseason. All right, we'll be back with more of the 2026 Westmoreland Sports Network kickoff show from Manor Valley Golf Course. We'll be right back right after a GIF.
As a Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. Science is everywhere! Schedule a tour today!
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
It was an unbelievable regular season here at Southmoreland in 2025. The Scotties won their first 8 games and went 9-1 in the regular campaign. The postseason was a different story, however, as they fell in lopsided fashion against Hopewell here at home. With many contributors to replace from a year ago, the Scotties try to reload for 2026.
Southmoreland graduated its top 3 receivers in Mikkel Darnell, Ty Warwick, and Stanley Betters, while defensive dynamo Stanley Chapman also graduated. Meanwhile, top 2 rushers Avrion Darnell and Jackson Mickens both transferred, with Mickens being the second D1 talent to leave the school as an underclassman in as many years. The Scotties aren't dwelling on those absences, though, as players are ready to seize the chance.
I think we're just going to pick it up. We just got to kind of shrug it off and put new people in their places.
Brock Gio's one of them. Jake Hall's going to step up. He's a senior too. And all the other guys are all stepping up. I'm real proud of them.
Wolf is the most notable carryover from last year's team. Despite being thrust into quarterback, he threw for more than 1,100 yards and a dozen touchdowns, and he also proved dangerous as a runner with his powerful physique. It's not his body that could take him to greater heights behind center, but rather his mind.
Yeah, I feel more prepared. I know the playbook front and back, and just got to keep leading.
Carbonera, a sophomore, could open some eyes at running back, while senior Jake Hall should also be a factor on offense. There is some continuity along the lines, though, where the Scotties expect to be stout. That could yield another stellar defense after Southmoreland held 7 opponents to a touchdown or fewer last year. Lineman Justin Reibel is confident.
I think we're really strong up front. I think we got a good backfield. Hoping to have a very low-scoring game for the other teams.
Senior kicker Liam Smith could also give the Scotties a leg up on special teams. The 3A Interstate Conference should be tougher, though, as Elizabeth Ford remains the favorite after handing the Scotties their only regular season loss, while Belle Vernon area drops down from 3A. While head coach Dustin Schoaf had a stellar debut in 2025, he and the Scotties are still looking for that elusive playoff W.
Oh, I want nothing more than win our first playoff game. That'd be great. Get on a history forever.
A couple of Fayette County schools highlight the non-conference for the Scotties as they open at Connellsville, and then in Week 3 they host Uniontown and former head coach Tim Bukowski. The regular season concludes with a rivalry showdown against Mount Pleasant. This training camp preview is brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, now with online ordering at playitagainsports.com.
Independence Health System, our orthopedic specialists treat everything from sports injuries to joint replacement, helping you move better and heal faster. And for patients with knee arthritis, our advanced Jiffy Knee procedure offers a minimally invasive knee replacement designed to reduce pain and get you moving again. When injury or joint pain slows you down, getting the right care close to home matters. Independence Health System Orthopedics. Expert care here.
And welcome back to our Westmoreland County High School kickoff show here on WSN. Sean Myers joined by Dustin Schoaf, the head coach of the Southmoreland Scotties, year number 2. Dustin, first off, this is the first time you've been on this show, so welcome. I know we didn't have it last year, but speaking of last year, what a year it was for you and Southmoreland. I don't think a first season for a head coach could go much better. 9-1 in the regular season, a historic campaign, came to an end in a loss against Hopewell at home in the playoffs. But let's focus on what you learned from a year ago. You're one of the youngest coaches around. I'm sure there was a lot that you learned on the fly. So what lessons did you take from 2025?
Yeah, thanks, Sean, for having me tonight. One of the first things that I was really fortunate, as a young head coach was understanding that you can't do it by yourself. We have a great staff in place at Southmoreland, from my offense coordinator, Jalen McNair, to my defense coordinator, Rich Colesar, and the rest of the coaches that we have on staff there. We all, was in it together, and it took a total team effort on top of the kids buying in. We had a great senior class that really laid that foundation, and we're really thankful for. And now these younger kids that are kind of stepping up and taking over the role is starting to see, how important it was for what they were able to lay, right? And that goes for our administration at Southmoreland. We have some of the best support that I've been a part of. Our principal Charity Coolbank, assistant principal Kaylee Potoshnik, athletic director Brian Pritz, and our superintendent Dr. Jason Boone. I love working for him. As a football coach and now as a teacher in the building. It was a total team effort, and we can't be more thankful as a staff and as a program for what we have. And going forward in year 2, you build some confidence, right? You've seen that from year 1, and you carry that over. But then we also reflect back on our roots, right? Our roots of what kind of got us there. Playing fast, playing together, and being a part of wanting to be a part of something special. So a lot of different avenues, a lot of different arrows, but everybody coming together.
Well, as I mentioned, it was a special regular season. You won all but one game, and most of those wins were pretty dominant, to be honest. However, you did lose to Hopewell in the playoffs. So how do you balance a great regular season with a disappointing finish to the season?
Yes, going into year 2, we looked at, the positives, right? We looked at what we did well first and how we can kind of throw those different wrinkles into going into year 2, right? We brought everybody back on staff, which is we're thankful for. We brought, one additional coach that is a guy that is, responsible for flying our drone during practice. So, we kind of bring a little different edge, to the table, right?
Did Flick apply for a job like that, by the way? He loves using drones.
He did not. He did not. But, we kind of did our end of season meeting with the staff and the coordinators and kind of looked back, positives first, where we can build off of that. And then my coordinators and I, we sat down in January and February and we watched the 2 games we lost. And those were 2 opponents that were well coached. They had great athletes and they had a good culture. And that's where we want to get to, right? We want to continue building, and we're there, but we got to keep adding the small little arrows of taking it to the next level and improving each day, each game. So a lot of those things that we kind of look at and go from there.
Well, one benefit is that you return your starting quarterback in Dawson Wolf. And I know last year he probably was still learning the position. I would imagine he's light years ahead of where he was at this time in 2025. So what does he bring to your offense?
I just want to speak on Dawson as a student and as a person on kind of what we've seen from him as a coaching staff. His leadership is phenomenal. He's a kid that will be willing to do anything to help the team win, whether that's playing quarterback, playing linebacker for us, or even playing special teams. Some people ask me, well, why do you throw your quarterback on there? Well, he wants to be on there and in the best 11 play. And, that was a huge piece for his development from year 1 into year 2. And then going, more specifically on the offensive side, him and Coach McNair, our offense coordinator, they did well really meshing in year 1. And they're kind of taking it to another step of, making it where Dawson's making a lot of reads, and making a lot of decisions on his own. And that comes from the coaching and the development of him as a player, right, and as a student athlete of the game.
So you played in 11 games, including the postseason. In 7 of those games, you held the opposition to 7 or fewer points. That was a terrific unit that you had a year ago. What stood out about that group, and how much of that can apply to this year's version?
Our mentality was to run the football, play good defense. And, when I was looking for a defensive coordinator and somebody, to have his arrow in the right direction with what my philosophy was, Rich Colesar was a gentleman that, really was the perfect person for the job. And, we want our kids to fly around, 11 guys to the ball, right? And we preach that in our pursuit. We preach that in our tackling throughout the week. We preach that in turnover. And with all that being said, it carried over to the game, right, on Friday nights. And our hardest, days were the practice, right? And that all carried over to see how Friday nights were. And so, that goes a long way. We appreciate what we're able to do, on that side of the ball. And you've seen it carry over to special teams as well, especially the turnovers we got on kickoff, the turnovers we got on, punt return and the blocks we got last year. So, everything goes hand in hand. You got to have everybody's there on the right direction. So, there's a lot to it, but, we're excited about what year two looks for.
Well, you had a scrimmage against South Allegheny this weekend. I know there was probably a lot of good that you could take from that, also maybe a setback or two. So how did you evaluate how things went against the Gladiators?
Yeah, we were excited. South Allegheny with Coach Hansen, coming to Southmoreland for our scrimmage, and the kids did well. There's a lot of things we've seen from the sideline that, was really exciting. Things that maybe last year we had to, coach up a lot more, and the kids picked it up pretty quickly. We competed with our varsity. We competed with our JV guys. Going into the scrimmage, the goal is to stay healthy. And I do want to make a point. One of our sophomore kids and captain Nick Carbonera, unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury. And, it's always hard to see anybody go down. And he's a great young man. He has a great support system around him on top of, the rest of our student athletes that will be there for him, the coaches, the community. So, losing a kid like that hurts, but, he'll be a leader on and off the football field, and he'll be ready to take the next steps, for the next couple years he has with us. But, overall, we're excited about it and ready for week one.
Well, you talk about taking the next steps. Anytime someone mentions Southmoreland football, that next step is winning the first ever playoff game. Obviously, you had an opportunity at home last year, could not knock off Hopewell. How important of a goal is that for these players and for this program to win playoff game number one?
It's one of our goals. We came in last year as a staff, we thought about laying down the foundation. What's it going to look like? We had a lot of talented young men on the roster, from student athlete 1 to student athlete 38 last year. One of the things that we looked at going into year 2 was we wanted more kids out, on the football team. This year, and that's going to help throughout the week. And our goal for our playoff win, right? We're up to 47 kids rostered, at Southmoreland, and that's not probably ever happened, right? But, that's the first thing, right? The next thing is, understanding the two opponents that we faced, and it was, 2 games that we took a step back. And, we have to find out what we did well, and we have to find out what we do well, all right? So with all that being said, it's a goal, right? But we're worried about our 1-0 mentality. We're worried about our first week here next week against Connellsville, right? Week 1, Battle 119. So it's a week-to-week process. We have to enjoy the process. And the kids are excited. I'm excited. The staff's excited. The community's excited. We're fired up to play some football.
WSN excited as well. I know we had a chance to see your team up close quite a bit last year, hoping that we can do that again this year.
Absolutely, Sean.
Dustin, thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks, Sean. And I just want to make a quick point here to Westmoreland Sports. Thank you for all you guys do. The opportunity you guys bring to all the student athletes in Westmoreland County. We're really thankful as a school district and as coaches in the program.
That is Dustin Schoaf, who, by the way, is a former Yaw Cougar. Next up, we will hear from the current head coach of the Yaw Cougars, a former Cougar himself, Scott Hausman. That's as we continue right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network with the High School Kickoff Show.
Game day or any day, the power of Bowser is here to get you where you need to go. From the latest Hyundai, Nissan, Subaru, Chevrolet, GMC, Buick, and Genesis models to quality pre-owned vehicles, Bowser has the perfect lineup for your drive. Look for a winning deal. Bowser's got the plays, great financing, top trade-in values, and a selection that's always in season. From the first whistle to the final buzzer, Bowser Automotive is your hometown MVP. Bowser Automotive, Route 51 South on top of the hill. PowerofBowser.com.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
The Yaw Cougars are getting set for the 2026-27 season with the goal of making the postseason for the first time since 2013. However, that end goal may be easier said than done given with how much change there has been within this roster and coaching staff.
Cougars on 3, 1, 2, 3. Cougars! Good, let's go. Get off.
That's really nice. He'll tell us tips and stuff that he's learned and what his coaches have taught him, and it's nice that he's been showing us how he's been doing it.
It's very nice. I enjoy it a lot because he's more put together practices, different plays, make more sense, just more basic stuff.
Some may look at Yawk football and see a program that hasn't had a winning record in 13 years, or a team that hasn't made it to the postseason in the same amount of time. However, for 26-year-old and former Division I offensive lineman Scott Hausman, when the opportunity came knocking to coach his alma mater, he couldn't pass it up.
Hey, look, when you hit him, you were like this.
Now, being a first-year head coach is tough enough as it is, but throw in the fact that he has to replace his starting quarterback and running back and gets thrown into a new conference with 5 Allegheny County teams, including the reigning WPIAL and PIAA champs Avonworth, that certainly doesn't make things easier.
Definitely, let's just whatever's in the past is in the past. Just try to win this year. Go play as hard as you can. Every single snap, play as hard as you can.
And the one guy who absolutely needs to play every snap with toughness is the quarterback. Former tight end Darius Stevenson will be commanding the shotgun, but it certainly won't be easy for the senior gunslinger.
He's been pretty good recently. He's kind of nervous, well, not really nervous, but he hasn't played quarterback since middle school, so definitely a big change for him.
Time will tell if the Cougs can overcome the many obstacles in their way for the upcoming season. Regardless, though, the difficulties have only made the camaraderie stronger.
Usually every week we all go out to eat mostly. I know the O-line group does, and so do some other skill positions as well, though.
Where's the best place to go out to eat?
We like to go to Wingstop.
What's your order?
I like to get 12 wings and fries.
Oh, can you get a picture of me and my friend?
I'm videoing right now.
What are you most excited for this upcoming season?
Enjoying football with my friends.
Well, we'll see how the Cougars fare with this new squad and new coach when Week 1 comes rolling around right here against GCC. Then Week 2, the Cougars go on the road and take on rival Mount Pleasant, a non-conference game, but like I said, a rivalry matchup nonetheless. The conference slate comes in Week 6 on the road for the Cougars. They take on the defending champs Avonworth. Should be a fun season up ahead for Yawk. We'll see how it all goes down. This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Make sure you visit playitagainsports.com.
At D'Annunzio's Italian Restaurant in Latrobe, you don't want to miss our Sunday brunch buffet. We have many traditional breakfast items which are a mainstay every Sunday. We also have various salad selections and our historic wedding soup. We even have a carving station with ham and prime rib. The luncheon selections on the buffet change weekly, and stopping at the dessert table to complete your Sunday brunch buffet is simply a must. Call to reserve your spot with reservations starting at 10 and brunch concludes at 2.
Welcome back here to the Westmoreland Sports Network live from Manor Valley Golf Course as we continue our coverage for our high school football kickoff show. Jack Ridenauer here with you, now joined by the first-year head coach, a man that's familiar with Cougar Mountain, Yawk head coach Scott Hausman. Coach, first off, you're usually on the other side of the ball when it comes to preseason and training camp, typically obviously being a player, but now first year being the head coach. What's that been like, and what's that perspective been like now being on the other side of things?
Yeah, it's a lot more. As a player, you're more or less just focusing on doing your job. Instead now of being a head coach, you're focused on everybody's job. So it's not just a one job that you got to do, it's everybody else's, and you got to make sure everyone's going in the right direction.
When you first took the job, what was the first couple things that you wanted to really implement into this program? And also, what was just the adjustment like those first few weeks, kind of getting used to being the main guy now?
The first 3 things that I wanted to implement was my saying for my program: accountability, competitiveness, and toughness. Those 3 things are the foundations of my program, and I had to be able to do that and implement that. The biggest other thing than those 3 was culture. I feel like it's been a up and down culture there. There's not really like a set thing and set standard within. So I had to get the players to understand what that means, define it for them, and then go from there.
Well, I know that you're also one of the youngest coaches in the county, if not in the entire WPIAL. And again, with you having recently played not that long ago, do you feel that that has allowed you to maybe relate to players and also have them maybe be more comfortable coming up to you knowing that you're not too far removed from the game yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from just being removed, it's funny, when I was in my last year of football, I would ask a kid, what year did you graduate? And he would tell me 2024, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm old. But in all reality, that was setting me up to really relate to the kids. The kids do, a great job of, if they really need something from me, they're always there. I'm always there for them, and they know that. And my staff, too, is a very young staff. We have the only old guy on the staff is Larry Hickson, but, I mean, he has 3 kids, so he can relate to a bunch of them like that. So it helps that I have a younger staff that are able to relate to these kids and know what they're going through day by day. So.
Well, you mentioned the aspect of the staff and obviously taking over for Ben Hoffer. What, if anything, have you asked him about in terms of what it's like just being a head coach, but also how much have you leaned on him with just any sort of advice he might have?
Yeah, it was honestly not too much. I just tried to sit back and learn as much as I could last year. So, just in that structure of that he had and seeing what I can learn and what I want to implement and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Well, during this last few weeks and during training camp, what have been the big things that have stood out to you about this group? I know, obviously, you have a little bit of a smaller roster, have some guys that did not return to the team, but you have 9 key returners. What has it been like the last few weeks, especially getting those guys to be more of leaders this season especially?
I think that's the biggest thing is I've been asking them to be leaders. It's a hard thing at a young age to do leadership, and it's calling out teammates and understanding that, it might not be the thing that your buddies want to hear, but they have to hear it. And the other thing is they've been clicking more and more and more. So you go through a summer program. Sometimes you get don't get all the kids that you need, and when camp hit, a lot of those kids were coming back around. So the big thing was them getting meshing and everything, gelling together. That was a big thing for them. So.
Who have been some players that have stood out to you during the last few weeks that you could see being really big keys for this team?
I think Darius Stevenson's definitely one of them. He's my guy. We put him in the quarterback role about 2 months ago. And another guy is Atticus Kimmel. He's stepping into a role for running back here, vacating a transfer to Johnny Gurgley. And then Joe Bibby, too, is another one. He didn't get as much time as he would have liked last year. He played a little bit of safety, but this year he's going to be a very big key part of our offense and our defense. So it's going to be something where he's really going to embrace his role, and I'm excited for him to do well.
With somebody like yourself who has obviously played at York and has a little bit of familiarity with smaller roster sizes, what has that been like managing, and especially when we're getting closer to the season and you're still kind of looking for some more guys to fill some spots?
Yeah, the big thing is I was so used to having 90 and being in college. So now it's like I get about 30 and working with what I got. And it's all good. These kids give me everything that they got. Their attitude and effort every single day is amazing. They come out to the practice field. They're ready to go. And that's all you can ask for as a coach with that, smaller roster size. So they give me everything they got, and I absolutely love them for that.
Well, Coach, speaking to you, I can tell how much York, the school, the area, the community means to you. And before we let you run, in 5 years from now, when somebody comes up to you and asks you what you are most proud of about the program that you have built at that point, what do you hope it is that you can share that really stands out in those next 5 years for you?
I hope that I can say that I built leaders that aren't just in my program, but they're leaders in life, whether that's a husband, being a father, that they can go on and say that, Coach Hausman affected me in a way that was bigger than just football. And I think that overall, some coaches kind of lose that mind of, this is bigger than football at the end of the day. If you're able to teach life lessons through football, then you are winning at the end of the day. Everybody wants to count wins and losses, but honestly, to me, it's about how are you able to build a culture to the kids that they can go on and take that for the rest of their lives. So, wins and losses are obviously something that, you want to be, you're ultimately judged on. But for me, I want the kids to be able to judge me on, was I a good human to these kids? Was I a coach that they can come back to in 5 years and still ask for advice?
Well, Coach, I know you've got a lot of advice to share, and I'm sure the team and everybody's excited to hear it. Thanks so much for stopping by. We're excited to see you on the football field this year, and again, good luck this year.
Yep, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Westmoreland Sports. I see you guys all the time at all the Yawk events. You guys do so much, so thank you guys very much.
First-year head coach Scott Houseman from the Yawk Cougars. Stick with us. We have Mike Brown of the Norwin Knights joining us next, right here, live from Manor Valley Golf Course and on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
I feel like it's definitely very important, like for high school, because a lot of kids, get peer pressured into drinking and doing drugs. So like doing the events like in a school setting, I feel like definitely like try to prevent kids from like going to like parties and drinking and driving and doing drugs and being peer pressured.
We just want to, talk about the dangers of the substance abuse in our community, and we want to help be a part of stopping that.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
It was a tremendous season for the Norwin Knights in 2025 as they won 7 games and reached the WPIAL playoffs for the first time in quite a while. However, they came up 1 game shy of appearing in a WPIAL championship, losing to North Allegheny in the semifinals. Although they must replace a prolific quarterback in Tristan Tavares, the Knights are confident that they have the talent to show that they are one of the best once again in 6A.
Tavares cemented his place in program history during his career, capped off by passing for more than 1,200 yards and 13 scores last season, while adding 700 yards and another 13 TDs on the ground. Max Ritz now takes the reins, and although the junior is unproven, he should have an outstanding supporting cast. Giovanni Rotroff returns after surpassing 1,500 yards rushing and scoring 9 times in 2025, while D1 prospect Potter Brzezinski is back after pacing Norwin in receptions and receiving yards. Fellow wideout Xavier Holtzman, running back Parker Rigo, and tight end Santino Brasco all should contribute significantly. Those guys are confident the Knights can turn last year's weaknesses into strengths.
I feel like those seniors really set the precedent for what we need, but we need to rise above it. I think where we kind of fell short sometimes with people not knowing or maybe giving up in certain scenarios. So as long as we're in the playbook and we give it everything we got, I think we'll be good.
Yes, sir. I feel like we're in the playbook a lot more. I feel like the weight room, we've increased our numbers in the weight room. Also, doing our speed and agility, I feel like we've impacted a lot on that.
While the collection of skill is impressive, perhaps the Knights' greatest strength is in the trenches, where brothers Max and Jonah Fearley, along with Sebastian Somerville, should help Norwin navigate the 6A gauntlet that includes Pittsburgh Central Catholic, NA, and Cannon McMillan. Brzezinski believes his team is ready to take the next step.
You just gain exposure to like that type of culture that's in the playoff. It's different football, but I think because we were there last year, like we get a chance to go back this year, which I think we will. We'll definitely be more prepared for it. I think we have a good chance to go all the way to the championship. I think if we can play as a team, I think we compete with any team in the WPIAL. Like I said, we have the guys to do it. We have the brotherhood. I think we're the closest we've ever been as a team. I think we can compete with any team out there right now.
Norwin's football stadium is in the midst of a $25 million project that won't be completed until 2027, so the Knights have had to adjust their practices and relocated all of their home contests this season. For Coach Mike Brown's squad, though, that won't be used as an excuse.
I feel like playing on a different field isn't like, I feel like it's the same if you make it the same. Like, it's just turf in the end. I mean, just with different colors. Like, I feel like the impact will be a little different, but in the end, I feel like we'll settle in just fine.
You got to rise to the challenge. If anything, it should be less stressful because you're not in a home environment. You're kind of away. I feel like that's kind of a benefit to us, but just got to kind of clear out outside distractions and get to work.
The Knights open their season with a rivalry matchup at Penn Trafford before they play as the home team for 2 straight at Penn Trafford's field, hosting Greater Latrobe and Franklin Regional. The regular season ends with a playoff rematch against North Allegheny. This training camp preview is brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, now with online ordering at playitagainsports.com.
Wildcat Championship Belts recognizes that every game, every practice, every drop of sweat, it all leads to this moment. Because champions deserve more than a trophy. They deserve something that lasts. At Wildcat Championship Belts, we craft custom student-athlete belts built for pride, passion, and performance. Fully personalized, handcrafted quality, 100% championship energy. Celebrate your team's legacy with Wildcat Championship Belts, where every athlete can be a champion.
We continue here on the Westmoreland Sports Network as now Norwin's Mike Brown joins us. And Mike, first off, thanks for doing this. How's everything going with you?
Good. Thank you for having me. Appreciate everything you guys do, for high school sports, high school football, but things going well. We had a great scrimmage yesterday. We came out healthy. Now we're preparing for our week 1 game, and everything's good.
That echo startled you a little bit.
Yeah, it did. It scared me a little bit.
So you've golfed here at Manor Valley?
I did, if you want to call it golf. A lot of outings. I see there's a window broken right there. I can't
That's
say
not
I
by
did.
you. Okay.
Yeah, I can't say I did that, but I've came pretty close. But yeah, there's not a better place around. Vince does, a great job. We're always out here.
Well, you might not be a great golfer, but I think you qualify as a pretty great high school football coach now based on what your team did last season. It was an outstanding season for the Knights. You made the playoffs, and you ultimately fell in the semifinals, but I think it's clearly a step forward for Norwin. Did you feel that same way, and what was the significance of making the postseason in 6A?
Yeah, that was one of our goals coming into it last year. We had a great team. We had a senior-led team. At all positions. So we felt comfortable to have those lofty goals, and we continue to have that. Ultimately, we came up short, getting into the playoffs, but not really doing anything. But we had a heck of a season, and I couldn't be more grateful for those seniors that led us.
Well, one of the seniors who led you is your quarterback, Tristan Tavares. He was a 4-year guy, and obviously we know when you have experience at quarterback, it makes everything a little easier. What impact did he have on this program, and how does his legacy maybe even help this year, although he's moved on to the college ranks?
Yeah, coming into Norwin, he made our lives easier because we didn't have to look for that senior leader, especially at the quarterback position. We knew he was going to be the starter from day one, and we could focus on other positions because we knew he did everything that we asked for. But his career is bar none. It's going to go down as one of the best at Norwin. Again, we're forever grateful to have him. We hear he's doing great things at Cal U right now, which shouldn't be a surprise really to anybody. But he's definitely going to be missed. This is the first time in my head coaching career that we have to find a quarterback. When we were at Hempfield, we had Jake Phillips for the 2 years, and now we had Tristan for the last 3. So we're looking, but we got some valuable guys that can step into that position and hopefully, lead the offense to where we want.
Well, how much do you have to change that offense with a different quarterback? And, of course, with Tavares, he was a dual threat guy as well, so I know that added a wrinkle.
Yeah, we're going to have to change, to a sense, but we actually changed during the season last year when he got injured. So we brought in Josh Leonard. That kind of changed up the offense. So we're going to move with our personnel. So we have a couple quarterbacks that can be under center and do the things that we do, and it's going to change, but our philosophy isn't going to change. We're going to try to run the football, control the sticks and, move it on the ground, and when we have to throw it, we're going to throw it.
I think it's fair to say that the offensive line was a strength last year, and the expectation is that it could be a strength again this year. You've got some big bodies and some talented guys up there. What stands out about that unit?
Yeah, they're the most collective group that I've ever seen when it comes to lifting together, eating together, hanging out. They're probably, I would say, 8 to 10 guys that, they're a cohesive group. And again, we have the size, but we really emphasize that we really need to be moving people, be physical, be that gritty offensive line that really hasn't been here the past couple years. So they're doing a great job. They're buying in. And like I said, we got some depth there, which is really helpful, not only for the offensive side, but the defensive side also. So we're excited about it.
Well, you need a stout line when you compete in 6A. And you always think of Pittsburgh Central Catholic and their unbelievable line, and I know that's been a strength for North Allegheny as well. What are the pros and the cons of competing in 6A, the highest classification in the state?
Yeah, I think the pros is you're playing the best of the best. You know, you get to play against the Central Catholics and North Alleghenies, but, you know, everybody in the conference has really made a step ahead. Ken and Mac is supposed to be very, very competitive this year. Seneca Valley has made great strides. Mount Lebanon and Hempfield, you know, anybody can be up there, but I truly believe it's one of the best conferences in the WPIAL. The cons is you're traveling quite a bit. You know, you're going across the city, you're going through the tubes almost every week when you're away. So it's great. I wouldn't change it for the world. We are excited. We have great teams that we're playing with, and we're excited to get going.
There's nothing I hate more than driving to the South Hills during rush hour.
Exactly.
So I can certainly relate to that. But even your home games, you're going to be traveling a little bit because there is no home field at Norwin. The stadium renovations that I believe are going to yield something pretty spectacular, they're going to be the entire season. So you will not have a true home game. You're going to be playing at Penn Trafford instead. That also impacts your practice. So how much of a hurdle has that been, and will it continue to be?
Yeah, I mean, we've probably traveled more this preseason than we did all last season. We're very grateful for the school districts that surround us, the Yawks, Jeanette, Penn Trafford, you know, having our home games. We even went to Gateway a couple times during camp and practiced on the outfield because they had turf. So we've been traveling nonstop, but the kids they're taking it with a stride. They're kind of moving on, and it gets us ready to travel. We know exactly what bus we're on when we leave. We know exactly the procedures to go, but it's going to be a challenge, but it's something that the coaching staff's going to take on. You know, our players aren't going to be really focused on it. They're going to, you know, wherever we got to play, they're going to do their job and do it to the best of their ability.
You scrimmaged Bethel Park this weekend. What were the takeaways from that against the Blackhawks?
Yeah, Bethel Park is a great team. They're going to have a great year this year. They were ultra physical, but I think we matched that. I think we had a couple of questions coming in with some starters that are going to be juniors or sophomores and see, you know, how they compete at a high level. And it was a great, you know, competitive scrimmage being against a 5A team that's probably going to be in the playoffs and probably try to fight for a 5A championship. So it was a highly competitive scrimmage. We played a physical brand of football, which is what I believe we have to, and there was a lot of positives coming out of it. Now, there was a lot of negatives too, whether it be alignments, assignments, but those can be fixed, and then also we came out healthy, so you can't ask for anything better than that.
There's no more week 0. It's now just called week 1, which I think everyone's thankful for. You have a pretty enticing matchup. You're playing against Penn Trafford. That is interesting because you played at Penn Trafford, but as you also mentioned, that's going to be your home field when the Warriors are not at home. So how much are you and your players looking forward to that matchup against the Warriors?
Yeah, we're excited. Personally, I teach at Penn Trafford High School too, so that's a quiet first 2 days of the season, which I totally understand. But again, we're excited. There's not a better team to be, you know, matched up that week 1 because we know, you know, the tradition they had. They're going to be well coached. The discipline's going to be there, and they're going to be ultra physical. So we get to see what type of team we have, you know, from the get-go. So we're excited to be opening up with Penn Trafford, and we'll see what type of team we have.
Lastly, fill in the blank. This will be a successful season if?
I believe if we stay healthy, we control the offense and defensive side of the ball with the line. If we can run the ball like we have been, stop the run, you know, we can be that team that we were last year and hopefully, you know, make some noise in the playoffs. But, you know, for right now, we're ultra focused on Penn Trafford and getting over that hump week 1, and then, you know, each week making that step to get to ultimately where we need to be.
Mike, thanks so much for doing this. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
That is Mike Brown, the head coach of the Norwin Knights. As we roll along, we will hear from a first-year head coach upcoming next, that Brian Johnson of Franklin Regional. That's as we continue right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Play It Again Sports in Greensburg is your locally owned and operated sporting goods store. We set ourselves apart by offering a wide variety of both new and used equipment at competitive prices. Located in the Greengate East Plaza, below Walmart, Play It Again Sports' knowledgeable staff will help you and your family prepare for every athletic season. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or trade, we are here as your one-stop shop. At Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, everybody plays.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
A year ago, Franklin Regional had its worst record in over 2 decades. This year, with a new head coach, this team is hungrier and stronger than they were a year ago. Worst season for Franklin Regional in the last couple of decades. What does that mean for you?
It's tough, but we're going to bounce back. We're going to go back to how it used to be.
I think the team is a lot put together more than last year. I think we're playing as one right now. We still have some things to go over, but I think it's on a good road.
We definitely have a chip on our shoulder this year. Not many people believe in us at all, so we're definitely out to shock some people and definitely improve off of last year.
After winning just 1 game a season ago, it's a new year and a new formula for Franklin Regional. First-year head coach Brian Johnson knew he had to get his guys bigger and tougher, and the former strength coach did just that.
Johnson brought in a new weightlifting program, and it's helped a lot. We started in January, and we just invested all the way through it, and it's paying off for sure.
You've put on 40 pounds of muscle, is that true?
Yeah, I was a little skinny last year, but I put on some good weight for sure.
I mean, this is definitely the strongest team I've been a part of. I'm up 30 pounds from last year, but it's really good weight. I'm the fastest I've ever been, so I feel like our strength program has been top of the state, top of the art, and I feel like we're definitely in the running for probably the strongest team maybe in our conference.
Along with being the strength coach a year ago, Coach Johnson also served as O-line coach, which allowed him to work closely with the stars in the trenches like Carizio and Coldevola, who returns this season after suffering a season-ending leg injury a year ago.
It's inspirational. I mean, we didn't even know if he was going to come back and play this year. He messed up his entire knee, and it's a lot.
With key returners on the line, that will allow the offense to utilize its weapons, like tight end Tommy Verugio, who had the second most receiving yards on the team last season. Running back Jet Taylor is also back for his senior year after 172 carries for almost 700 yards and 6 touchdowns a season ago.
He always says we go as we go, as referring to the offensive line, and I feel like it's a very big part. If the offensive line goes, we open holes to running backs, we score. That's how it goes usually.
But a strong offensive line also protects its quarterbacks. Sophomore Brock Bowser and junior Nick DeVola will share snaps until Coach Johnson feels right about picking a number 1.
You gotta keep that pocket clean for him. And then going back to Brock and Nick, I feel like they both have their strengths and weaknesses, but I feel like we could definitely use them both in the run game and the pass game.
Franklin Regional may be stronger, but we'll see if it's the size of the Panther in the fight or the size of the fight in the Panther that matters most when Week 1 comes rolling around against Penn Hills, and then Week 4 begins the conference matchups. For Franklin Regional, they take on Penn Trafford on the road. This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports. Make sure you visit playitagainsports.com for online shopping.
The Manor Valley Golf Course in Export is proud to announce the opening of their new banquet facility. It's perfect for sports banquets, Christmas parties, and weddings. This new facility can hold up to 180 people, so if you have an event coming up, Manor Valley Golf Course can host it. Golfers, they specialize in league play, fundraising outings, and have great membership rates. Give them a call at 724-744-4242 or online at manorvalleygc.com.
Jonathan Willie back with you, and once again on a windy day but a nice day at Manor Valley Golf Course for our 2026 high school football kickoff preview show. Thank you for sticking around with us, and hopefully we're providing you with some good insight as well as something fresher than the typical shows that you hear talking to football coaches. The next coach Well, it's a program that I've been very familiar with, having done their games for about the last 15 years, starting with Coach Botta, most recently Lance Getsy, and now the gentleman to my left. That's Brian Johnson. This is his 4th year at Franklin Regional, his first season as a head coach. Formerly, he was the offensive line and strength coach at Franklin Regional. He's a Woody High man, a graduate of Woodland Hills High School, class of 2001. Was a 3-year starter on both the offensive and defensive lines, played center at Geneva College, and he played in the Big 33 game, which back then it had a little more luster. Not that it doesn't have some luster now. Coach Johnson, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for having me, man. And thank you to Westmoreland Sports Network for having me as well. Really appreciate everything you do.
You had that scrimmage yesterday. Share with our viewers what you got from the scrimmage and what thing you're confident about looking forward.
Yeah, we were very pleased with that got me too. We were very pleased with the scrimmage yesterday. We came out somewhat healthy. We did lose a key player. He'll be out for the season. However, we were physical. We took care of, we need to take care of the ball a little bit better. However, up front, we were moving people. Defensively, we were flying to the football. I preached to these guys alignment, assignment, execution. And yesterday they did very well with that.
Now, last season was a bit of a down campaign. I feel I can say that because for 15 years I've been seeing every game and 2 different coaches prior to you. 0-6 in the conference, 1-9 last place overall. But there were moments during the season, and I'm not just being a homer, I'm just looking at how I saw it back then, and there were games that we were right there, but just could not get over that proverbial hump. How do you assess the record last season?
Well, I think first off, when you talk about a 1-9 season and 0-6 in the conference, to me that is accountable on the coaches, right? That's not the kids. But they did. They played tough at times last year. I think we were in 3 or 4 games. We only lost by a touchdown. A few games we were up. We let teams back in it. The biggest thing last year was a lot of mental mistakes, right? We didn't take care of the football a lot. Special teams we weren't sound on. So there was a lot to improve on from last year. Right. However, one thing that we always loved about our kids is they always fought, right? They always fought. And just sometimes you don't have the Jimmies and Joes.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't, right? Yeah. The other guy got the better horses.
That's it, man. It happens.
Now, what I want to say, I saw what appears that you have a large coaching staff. You and I were chatting about that during our break between interviews. So you talk about, you want to get up to about 20?
Yeah. Right now I think I have 19.
Okay.
Right. Biggest thing that we need to focus on, especially at a school like Franklin Regional, we have 58 kids. However, we need some program development, right? So having that amount of guys on the staff, and this is something I kind of noticed when I was in Mount Lebanon with Coach Pelko, allows you on a varsity defensive day to have our JV guys running offense, right? Things like that, or vice versa. So the biggest thing with a staff that size is now we can actually develop our program the way we see fit. So now, our 5 linemen up front, if one goes down, I'm not panicking, right? We're actually getting kids better so that if something happens, it's the next man up mentality.
Mm-hmm. Now, when the Panther fans and other viewers to the team's games this year are watching the Panthers play, what would they be seeing? You talk a little bit about your offensive approach defensively.
Well, yeah, listen, at the end of the day, I think we had to simplify some things, right? So we're very simplified in our blocking up front. I have four run plays when we have 13 variations off that run play, right? Concept route trees, things like that. But if you're going to watch us, you're going to watch kids that are flying around playing physical football, right? I like to say that I'm in a fight in a phone booth, right? That's really it, man. And
close quarters.
Really, close quarters. And another thing I tell the kids all the time is, hey, listen, I want you to be a gentleman off the field. But if your grandmother lines up across from you, you better punch her in the face, right? Okay. So we're really big on the standard of alignment, assignment, execution, having intentionality, and finishing every play, and just being physical to the football.
Now, you've got a couple players coming back that I thought showed some signs last year. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about some of them and what they look like or what they're bringing to the table this year. The young man I thought that had his moments running the football was Jet Taylor.
Yeah, man, Jet's a tough kid. He's one of our strongest kids on our team. He's one of our hardest workers in the offseason. He's just a great kid. He's a captain for us this year. Last year he had his moments, right? But at the end of the day, we had to take care of the football a little bit better. And that's something we stress with him this year. But he does have the ability to come out and carry the workload and take us to a different level.
How about Cole DeVola, senior tight end linebacker? Share a little bit about his strengths.
Yeah, well, Cole was tough, right? But Cole last year had a pretty bad knee injury in the middle of the season. He missed most of the year. he's coming back for us this year. He's another one that's a team captain, but we're moving him down to guard. And yesterday in the scrimmage, he came out, he picked it up very well, played really physical, and he had a good day.
Tommy Verugio, halfback. Pardon, Tommy, on that halfback, linebacker, senior this year, wears number 23.
23 will be all over the field, man. He's a kid that I can't get him out of my ear, right? Like, if Tommy doesn't play enough that he wants to play, and this is a good thing, he's, coach, where can you put me? Like, Tommy would play guard, tackle, quarterback, running back, whatever, but you'll see him all over the field. He's going to be in our bull position, which is like a fullback, a little bit of tight end, and then he's our Mike linebacker.
Well, you're an old lineman yourself. That's your specialty. You got a senior coming back, number 74, Ben Chiarizo. Plays both lines, offense and defense.
Yeah, Benny Carizio. Benny is a 3-year starter for me. I've had him. This will be my first class where I've had all these guys for 4 years. So he's pretty special to me, man. He's another kid that he works hard. He gets after it in the weight room. He's very football IQ, high-wise. And he just gets out there now, and he's got a nasty streak in him that he didn't have before. And he plays some football.
How do you see, Brian, the conference race this year? You know, coaches, you've been in the conference for a while. You know the quality of the competition. Just share briefly how you expect it to be this year.
Well, I mean, it's the same conference every year, right? Penn Trafford's a monster. Woodland Hills has athletes. Gateway has athletes. But they're all pretty good football teams, right? Latrobe's good. You got Collinsville and Fox Chapel in there this year. They're on their way up. So it's going to be a tough conference again this year, man. And you just kind of go out there and play your game, and you let the cards fall where they may, right?
Okay. Coach, I'd like you to play a little bit of word association with me here today, if you don't mind.
I've been waiting for this. I'm excited.
All right, Coach. I will say a term or a word, and you as the coach give your answer to it. You can use more than one or two words, but for me, yeah, you're allowed.
I'm allowed?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I let the other ones do that. But just to give it a chance for you to give the folks a little sense about it, because we hear these terms. As broadcasters, we often use these terms, and it'd be interesting to see how you would break those terms down.
Okay.
We're going to start off with intelligence.
Intelligence. Well, it's someone that has a high football IQ, right? Kid that can come out, and you got to tell him one time. You don't have to show him again, and he knows how to go out and execute.
Selflessness.
Well, that's a captain, right? That's the biggest thing about being a captain, is being selfless, holding kids accountable, right? And putting your ego in check.
Resilience.
Overcoming adversity.
Okay, that's good. I like that one myself, the way you used it. You hear this, football IQ or game IQ.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just the kid that takes the time to get on the film, right? Learn his plays. Take pride in that, right? Take pride in learning those little things. In getting through all that. And like I say, it's always nice when you have a kid that comes in and does those things, because it's a lot easier to coach that kid that has that IQ.
Leadership.
Accountability, again, right? When you talk about selflessness and captains and leadership, it all comes down to accountability. Are you willing to hold your teammates accountable? Because here's the thing, I believe if I love you, I'm going to hold you accountable, right? And we preach that to our kids, and that's a big part of our culture right now, is that leadership and being accountable and being selfless and going out and carrying that torch for Franklin Regional.
Resilience.
Again, overcoming adversity, right? So no matter what's going on, you need to learn from those mistakes. You need to overcome, because at some point you're going to be in the fourth quarter and you're down 3 or you're down 6, and you got to take a drive down to the house, try to win it.
Appreciate that, Coach. Thanks for sharing some of that. I'm sure some of the Panther fans will run into you now that are watching our show here and say, hey, Coach, you did pretty good in there.
Hopefully.
All right. Well, Gina, a friend of mine from Springdale, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you're familiar with Springdale area.
I am.
Okay. They've had some legendary coaches there, speaking of that. And she's a former Dynamo's cheerleader. And she shared with me, well, she's a big fan of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Would you like that? She's a Crimson Tide fan?
I mean, hey, listen, Nick Saban, he can coach some football, man.
Yes, he can. That's true. Told me that her favorite football movie of all time was Remember the Titans. So I thought I'd give her credit for that, because I think I'm creative, but I don't always come up with everything.
Right.
And I said, I'm going to ask the coaches that I'm chatting with here on our kickoff show that question. Remember the Titans was her pick. And off the top of my head, when she said it, I said, yeah. She mentioned that Denzel Washington played the coach in there. And, of course, the late actress Hayden Panettiere, as a young actress, she played a big role in that.
She did.
So hers is Remember the Titans. What's your favorite football movie of all time? And you go, the older we are, the further back we can go with that.
I mean, there's not a lot of bad football movies in my opinion, but to go with her, like Remember the Titans is probably my favorite one, especially being a Woodland Hills kid.
Right.
We talk about the merger of all those districts and how that had to come together, and then you get to watch that story of T.C. Williams and the merger and how those guys
Down
came
in
together.
Virginia, yes.
And they played football, man, and they figured it out, and they had a great program, and they got after it. So it's kind of like a mirror image of how I grew up at Woodland Hills and the type of program we had and the way Coach Novak kind of ran that program.
And George is one of the all-time winningest coaches for viewers out there or people out of the area that don't recognize. He had a powerhouse down there for sure.
Better person, though.
And then sent a lot of young men on to college to get that opportunity to get an education. Last question for you, Coach. What are you most excited about? Because now, what was that? There was a president that had a term. I can't think off the top of my head, so I apologize. But he said the buck stops with him. What are you looking most forward to when you have that whistle around your neck and you coming on the field coaching your first game as a head football coach?
Well, I guess seeing it with a different set of eyes, right? I've always been so focused on, all right, I'm coaching offensive line, this is what I got to focus on, and that was it. And now even when I'm at practice and I'm kind of walking through everything and watching everybody run their positions, because I'm a big believer in that decentralized command. I give them that accountability and that ability to go ahead and run their position. And I'm not really on them unless I don't like something, right? But I'm also the type of guy that says I'm going to hold my coaches accountable before I'm going to hold my kids accountable, right? So it's our job to set them up for success. If you as a coach are not going to do that, well, then you're going to hear about it from me. But it's exciting to know that it's my show. We're going to do it my way, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, then you tell me you're a big fan of Frank Sinatra's song. He had a big hit called My Way.
Yeah,
so
heard that once or twice.
Coach, I'm looking forward to coming down there, talk with you on Friday for the first time, and see how your approach that you're going to institute starts to show impact this year. Because at Franklin Regional, you're a team and a program that's used to being in the thick of things.
Yep.
And I like to see the team, the young men and yourself, get right back to that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, man. That's the biggest change we're trying to get is the culture the right way, right? Getting these kids to live up to their standard, the championship standard that Franklin Regional's used to, right? We brought back the pride, character, discipline that Coach Bada, his slogan, we brought that back. I'm a big guy. Woodland Hills was to achieve, you must endure. But we brought back that pride, character, discipline, having these kids chase that championship standard every day, and we're getting the culture in the right direction.
Best of luck Friday night against the Penn Hills Indians.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. That is Coach Brian Johnson, who's the new head man in charge at Franklin Regional. We'll be back. We've got more show coming up here as we have our annual 2026 preview show that gets us all generated about the upcoming football season. These men as coaches, my colleagues, myself as broadcasters, we'll be ready to go on Friday. We'll be back with more right after we take this brief time out.
WPSD's athletic program consistently shows what true sportsmanship and inclusion look like. During one basketball game, our varsity girls team gave an opportunity to an opponent who saw little playing time.
Our team gave her that opportunity to score because, in the moment, it wasn't about the scoreboard.
Each player understands that the heart of the game matters more than the final score. That's the WPSD way.
Enroll today and be a part of a team that represents respect, compassion, and character.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
The Penn Trafford Warriors are coming off of a season in which many teams would be very excited and happy about the final results, but these Warriors went 9-1 in the regular season last year and fell in the WPIAL quarterfinals to Moon. Now, the Warriors are looking to make it even further this coming postseason because of how much depth they have on offense, defense, and special teams.
I think just showing a lot of guys that, how to play each position, if they play my position, if they play another position, offensively how to line up, defensively how to read plays and stuff like that, just so that we have good depth and everybody understands, and if a guy goes down, we have a guy to step up.
Landon Stickle, along with many others on PT, are counting on the team's depth to help take the Warriors to the promised land. Starting with the defense, Stickle, a first-team all-conference linebacker, leads the unit and takes pride in the talent that surrounds him.
I think we have a good unit now, and I think a lot of guys stepped up and filled roles, and I think it's great to lead the defense and have a lot of guys that are stepping up to be leaders as well in the defense.
The offense, much like the defense for Penn Trafford, is a well-oiled machine. Warriors' top wideout Nick Ponko posted over 700 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns last season. However, it's not just through the air that the senior receiver believes his team can be a threat.
I'm extremely excited. I think run and pass are going to be very dominant. I think it's all going to work out very well.
Now, the ground is where PT has its most depth. Senior running back Ben Grabowski rushed for a team-high 875 yards last season. However, his whopping 11 touchdowns was second on the team. Quarterback Cody Yakimelli tallied 12. The junior can run just like his halfbacks, posting 821 rushing yards last year. Grabowski and Yakimelli, along with juniors Nate Jaraz and Dom Panigal, who are expected to take big steps forward this season, will make for one dangerous backfield. Grabowski believes the skill is one thing, but the bond between the guys is what makes this offense so potent.
We're all best friends, so younger classmen, older classmen, like we all hang out, so I think that helps when we're hanging out off the field and out of practice, and that helps us build up our chemistry, yeah.
Well, you can't mention this Warrior offense and not talk about first-team all-conference returners Aiden Corbett and Travis Moorhead. Grabowski knows his O-line has to be dominant in order for the skill positions to flourish.
I think it all starts with the offensive line. They were perfect, you know what I mean? So whenever we all go together, it works out perfect, so.
Head coach John Ruane, in his 16th season, looks to hoist some hardware at the end of this year. But it all starts with rival Norwin in Week 1.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a good game. I think they're a good team, and obviously it's a rival opponent, and I think we're going to come out and we're going to perform and just got to execute.
Now, before the Warriors can even worry about the postseason, they obviously have to get it done during the regular season, which begins Week 1 against Norwin for the 3rd straight year here at home. Now, the conference slate begins Week 4 against nearby foe Franklin Regional. This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports. Make sure you visit playitagainsports.com for online ordering.
Independence Health System, our orthopedic specialists treat everything from sports injuries to joint replacement, helping you move better and heal faster. And for patients with knee arthritis, our advanced Jiffy Knee procedure offers a minimally invasive knee replacement designed to reduce pain and get you moving again. When injury or joint pain slows you down, getting the right care close to home matters. Independence Health System Orthopedics. Expert care here.
And we continue here on the Westmoreland Sports Network, coming from beautiful Manor Valley. Sean Myers joined by John Ruane, the head coach of the Penn Trafford Warriors. You know a thing or two about Manor Valley, I'm to understand.
I've been here quite a bit. My son and his friends play here quite a bit, so great venue, great course. They put a lot of work into it.
And he's already a better golfer than you are, is that correct?
That's absolutely true.
That's a low bar, but, well, you're a very good football coach. That's one thing I can say definitively. 17 years now guiding Penn Trafford. Each and every year, it seems like your team is a contender. Do you take pride in not really having down years with this program?
Yeah, we take pride in our kids passing the torch to the next group of players that come through, and there's expectations that are set. And they learn that as sophomores, and they take pride in it as juniors and seniors, and they want it to be passed on to the next group that comes through. So, yeah, and with that, I've had an incredibly loyal staff for a very long time. They're great coaches, and we all have the same mindset, the same way of doing things, and it's just been a pretty steady thing we've had going. But we're ready to take the next step this year.
Well, last year was another good season, 9-2. You lost just to Woodland Hills in the regular season, although I'm sure you probably wanted a little bit deeper of a postseason run as you fell in the quarterfinals at home against Moon 20-13. So with the highs and lows, how did you evaluate 2025?
We did a good job. The playoff game, we probably left a few plays out on the field. We could have taken a bigger lead at halftime and maybe pulled away in that game, but we didn't. And that's just the way the cookie crumbled at the end. But I thought we showed a lot of progress from the year before, and that year we showed progress from the previous year. So hopefully we're going to head towards the peak this year.
So you graduate Nate Desmond, your quarterback. Had a very nice year, passed for nearly 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. But I know for several years now, you haven't just had one guy take all the snaps at quarterback. You worked a few different players in, including Cody Yakimelli, and it looks like he's next in line at quarterback. What do you see from him? What type of leader and quarterback can he be for the Warriors?
Yeah, Cody's been with us freshman and sophomore year, so he's got 2 years under his belt in our system with our program. He's put on a ton of good weight. He looks tremendous, and he's 3 steps faster than he was a year ago, which is critical because he's going to be very difficult to bring down in the open field. We pair him with Ben Grabowski in the backfield, who's now been there for 4 years as a varsity player and big-time contributor for us. So we like the dual threat element. Both guys can run. Both guys can throw. We can mix and match and give each guy a break. They're both going to start on defense for us. So playing two is nothing new for us. It's just how are we going to shuffle the deck to make them both get key reps.
When you talk about Grabowski, he missed a lot of his sophomore year, but as you mentioned, he was a contributor as a freshman, as was Nick Ponko, who is a senior receiver, and I know you have given terrific praise to him. Having guys that play 4 years of a legitimate role on this team is pretty rare. So what makes Grabowski and in particular Ponko so special?
There's no substitute for experience in high school football. So this Friday when we play Norwin, both teams are going to have guys that have never played under the lights, and you're going to expect some mistakes from those guys. We're going to rely heavily on the guys that have played, but to have 2 guys play for 4 years is really rare, at least at Penn Trafford. And yeah, I mean, Nick has seen everything on both sides of the ball. He knows the speed to expect. He knows there's going to be checks on offense, checks on defense, and nothing's really going to phase him mentally. And likewise with Ben, playing multiple positions, including quarterback, he's got a really good knowledge of the game and puts us in the right spot very often.
I think one thing that people first associate with Penn Trafford is play in the trenches. That's been a strength more times than not. Is that going to play out the same this year?
I sure hope so. We have a lot of good guys that we are high on. We're not as big as we typically have been maybe, but we are going to rely on their athleticism. We think we have guys that can get to the second level. They're really good in space. We can do some more screen game stuff, pull some more guys, and at the same time, they're a physical bunch. So, yeah, I think if we aren't good up front, then it won't be a great year, but I really like the crew that we have, and we're starting to build some depth throughout the last few weeks. We saw that at camp. So we're excited about the crew we have up front.
You reside in the 5A Big East Conference, and some changes with realignment, but there's most of the same core teams that you're going against. Woodland Hills, Gateway, Greater Latrobe, Franklin Regional. Connellsville enters, as does Fox Chapel. How do you evaluate the landscape of that conference?
Well, it starts with Woodland Hills. They've won the conference the last 2 years, and they beat us the last 2 years. They're the team to beat. You know, we've been sitting in second place for a couple years, and we can't be content with that. I know they have a lot back, and they're going to be outstanding again. Gateway returns, a lot of skill guys, and their quarterback, who had a good year last year. And, you know, Franklin, Latrobe, always a big rival for us, both of those two teams, and very tough. Connellsville and Fox Chapel are going to be new to us. We've played them in the past, but not any time recently, so that's going to be a learning curve for us as well. But as always, there's going to be a lot of tough games.
I know you had an opportunity to get your first scrimmage under your belt against Shaler area, another 5A team. What did you take away from that matchup against the Titans?
I was happy with the way our kids played. I think we played physical. I think we ran the ball well. I think we were pretty high percentage completing balls as well, which was great. And we were able to use a number of guys. We feel confident in 5 to 7 guys touching the ball quite a bit this year, not just Cody and Ben and Nick. You know, guys like Trent Brown, Daniel Lisbon, Landon Thomas, Kason Offield, and then, of course, Landon Stickle, who has been so good for us the last 3 years. We feel like we have a lot of guys that can do some things in space for us, and we want to get them the ball.
I know you alluded to this early on, but you have some great assistant coaches, and most of those guys have been with you for quite a while now. 17 years for you. I would think that those assistant coaches have been there double-digit years as well, many of those guys. What makes that group so good and so invaluable for what you do?
I think, like I said, hey, they're very good football coaches. They're very knowledgeable. They put in an incredible amount of time, not only in season and on weekends, but in the off season. But bigger than all that is we are all on the same page ethically. These are guys I want to coach my son, and we've had some of their sons come through, and I would expect them to treat all kids the same, and they do. And the best part about these guys is they're teaching these kids how to be men. And I can't say enough about each and every one of them, but I've been very, very fortunate. Like you said, most of these guys have been there 17 years or at least 15 years. And we even have guys that played in our program that have replaced the guys that have left. So just guys that have been around for a long time with us. And like I said, I trust every one of them with every one of our kids, including my own. And it's been a great run for all of us.
Week 1, no longer week 0, which is, I think we're all thankful for that.
Yes.
But week 1, your first game against Norwin, and it's at your home field. And ironically, Norwin's going to be playing at your home field whenever you're on the road this year as well. What's exciting about that matchup?
Well, every year it's a great game. Let's start with that. Both teams want to win in the worst way. And every year it's been a tight game. It's come down to the wire. Look no further than last year when we got the last good lucky bounce in the game and we ended up pulling it out. But the crowds are outstanding. Both teams make a ton of money when they host that game, and the energy in the stadium is outstanding. And like I said, you're playing an arch rival, and the last thing you want to do is lose. So the urgency factor is through the roof. And it's just exciting, and like I said, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder coming in this year, and I think we are too. We want to start off the season with a win, and we'll see. But it's going to be a really good game. They're very tough, they're very physical, and they're very well coached. They've taken incredible strides in the last couple of years under Coach Brown and their staff, and it shows.
John, thanks so much for doing this. Always appreciate it. Do you still get nervous for the first game of the season?
I do. I don't know about nervous. I get anxious. Nervous is for the unprepared. I think we're prepared, but anxious is we're ready to go, and until the ball kicks off, it's like a unique feeling that anybody who plays and coaches understands, so I'm not unique in that regard.
Looking forward to seeing you this Friday and beyond.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That is John Ruane, the head coach of the Penn Trafford Warriors. We will take a quick break. When we come back, another long-tenured Westmoreland County coach, Ligonier Valley's Roger Beidel, will join us right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Wildcat Championship Belts recognizes that every game, every practice, every drop of sweat, it all leads to this moment. Because champions deserve more than a trophy. They deserve something that lasts. At Wildcat Championship Belts, we craft custom student-athlete belts built for pride, passion, and performance. Fully personalized, handcrafted quality, 100% championship energy. Celebrate your team's legacy with Wildcat Championship Belts, where every athlete can be a champion.
Your next golf adventure awaits at Manor Valley Golf Course in Export. Manor Valley offers 18 scenic holes over gentle sloping fairways and the purest putting surfaces around. Manor Valley Golf Course in Export is the perfect place to host your next golf outing, banquet party, or shower. Manor Valley also offers league play and great membership rates. Tee times available. Call 724-744-4242. Visit ManorValleyGC.com.
The Collision Shop by Jason Mignone is your one-stop shop for all things auto body repair. Our experienced technicians and state-of-the-art facilities have you covered on both passenger and heavy-duty vehicle repairs, including scratches, scrapes, and dents, free estimates, body repairs, welding, refinishing, glass replacement, and more. Our all-new alignment and calibration shop has the tooling, equipment, and staffing to ensure top-quality alignment and calibration adjustments for your vehicle. Our friendly office staff is more than happy to assist you through every step of your vehicle's repair process. Visit the Collision Shop by Jason.com for our complete list of services.
We continue here on the Westmoreland Sports Network and our high school football kickoff show. Sean Myers joined by the longest tenured Westmoreland County football coach in Roger Beidel. Roger, thanks for doing this again. Always excited to talk to you. I just mentioned you've been doing this a long, long time. How much do you look forward to each and every season beginning?
Every season is a different challenge, and at this point I still don't use an alarm clock to get up and go to camp, so I look forward to every opportunity to get better with the kids, and every team is different, and they have an opportunity to start and write their own story.
I'm sure last year you wanted more success for the team. You had one win, a blowout against Charleroi, but other than that, it was kind of a tough go, especially offensively. When you have a season like that, how much is it focusing on where you can get better, and how much is it balancing what could be fragile mentalities of young men who might be 14 to 17 years old?
Yeah, it's difficult. And to be honest with you, when we left team camp in the summer, if someone would have said we were a one-win football team, I wouldn't have believed them. I feel badly for the graduating seniors because we've never talked about wins and losses in our program, and we talk about following a process. And I can tell you honestly, those kids did everything necessary to earn the right to win, and it didn't work out. And if there's a positive, we got a lot of young guys opportunities to play, great varsity football experience, and then making the switch to start a freshman quarterback halfway through the season, I think is going to give us a lot of rewards down the road.
Referring to Levi Faust. So
Yes.
What does he do well, and how much do the expectations increase this year for him because he has gotten some of those valuable reps?
We have high expectations for him, and not only does our coaching staff have that, but he wants that for himself and also for the team. He's a multi-threat. He can run the football. He can throw the football. He's a big kid. He's strong. He's a wrestler. He's tough. He's a competitor. So he's the catalyst for our offense this year.
Well, you talk about him being a wrestler. I remember back more than a decade, you had some terrific football players who were also great basketball players. Alec Bloom is the name that comes to mind. Do you prefer, obviously Ligonier Valley's on the smaller side in terms of school size, do you prefer to have multi-sport athletes, or would you rather have 95% just football focus for your players?
No, we definitely want multi-sport athletes. There's only so much you can do in the weight room to train muscles, but the ability to move, wrestle, be tough, play basketball, change of direction, catch balls, go out for track and field is always something we encourage the kids to do. And we're a small school. This is the first time since I've been there that we graduated under 100 kids. And we need all of our athletes to participate. Need them to do every sport. And it's crazy that we have kids that are really good athletes right now that are focusing on one sport. And it's really hard for me, for being there as long as I have, to see kids make these decisions that they're getting bad advice from adults to focus on something. I think you should focus on being the best athlete you can to represent Ligonier Valley in the fall, the winter, and the spring. So we definitely want kids to be multi-sport athletes.
What have been some of the biggest changes in high school football from when you started as a head coach to now?
Well, seeing that I only have 15 minutes, I'll say a couple that are the biggest thing. Number one, I refer to them as the pay-to-play sports. You have all these adults out there that are asking kids to pay them thousands of dollars to just go play. There's no practices, and we have to compete against that. And it's really difficult to have a kid want to go out and lift and work out whenever every weekend they can play for a national or a world champion and get a ring for a third place finish. And then the social media stuff is crazy. That's unbelievable to me, and that's one of the things that I deal with. It's real difficult as a 23-year-old head coach. Is do I need to be posting stuff all the time to create a perception of a reality that's not real? And that social media stuff is crazy. But I think the greatest issue we have right now deals with transfers and this whole thing about moving from school to school. And the WPIL shouldn't have 100 transfer eligibility meetings the week before you start football season. That's ridiculous. And the moving around from place to place and the co-ops are just completely changing the games. And schools that have homegrown kids and they develop a culture based on the fact that, like, for example, you take Levi. Here, when he was 6 years old, he has his picture taken with Colin Smith after we had won our district.
He was a ball boy, is that correct?
He was a ball boy, right? So now, 10 years later, that same kid is our starting quarterback. To me, that's culture. That's something that your community is brought about. It's passed on from player to player. It's not something that you put a poster on the wall. It's about servicing your community. It's about wearing the words on the front that represent something, not being a mercenary and things like that. And that's the greatest challenge there is to the sport, all sports, but especially football right now.
You mentioned the pay-to-play and rings for third place. That pales in comparison to our Wildcat Championship belt, by the way, that Jack was showing off. So to delve a little bit further, I interviewed Dustin Schoaf at Southmoreland, and I don't think he wants to make excuses, but he had star players leave his program to transfer elsewhere. I believe you also had a player who transferred out of the district heading into this season. As a coach, how do you handle something like that? Because clearly you would love to have the most talented players available, but it also creates opportunities for other guys. So can you spin it as a positive?
It is a positive. I'm only going to comment on players that are on our rosters and players that I have. But it's extremely difficult at this point. And also, too, no offense to you guys, but the media, why are we glorifying transfers? Why is that breaking news across people's feed that a kid decided to leave a school to go to another school and all that stuff? To me, the breaking news is, look at this roster made up of 33 kids that all came from the same community. That's the breaking news. I don't know if it's something that we're in a hurry to hurry up and get to that college thing because that's out of control with NIL or what it is, but I mean, we got to get a handle on this stuff. Again, I'm old school, I'm a dinosaur. I believe that you represent your community. You've grown up going to your local high school football games. As a young kid, you dreamed of being on that field with them and playing on that field in front of your community, for your community, and that's culture.
You talk about how Levi epitomizes that. Who are some other guys that people are going to take notice of this season for Ligonier Valley?
It starts with our seniors, excuse me. We have 13 outstanding kids. Dakota McDonald's another kid. He's gotten a couple articles out there about him. He was a young kid, same thing, playing football in the small little grassy patches around Weller Field as we were having those good runs, and these guys were young back then. But it starts with the line. Those guys have had such a great offseason. Levi, Dakota, Michael Hillen, Jacob Robertson, those guys up front have been phenomenal. We have two sophomores that are really good, and Braden McKenzie and Blake Penrose. Those guys are going to be spectacular football players for us down the road. And then you mentioned the receiving corps. Gregory Sleesman, who's a senior for us, and sophomore Anthony Pedalino have had great camps, really catching the ball well. And then the backfield, another sophomore, Blake Hitt, and senior Patrick Lattin. It starts with those guys. And then you move into the junior class. We're at this point, we have three. And that's difficult for us to get through. But those three are really good. Ryan Money, sophomore, extremely dedicated. Carson White, who just has a motor, it doesn't stop. And Caleb Schmidt as well as a junior.
You mentioned Weller Field. To me, it kind of has an old school throwback feel when you play there at that field. It's one that's not at the high school. Do you embrace, you talk about the history and the culture, does it feel a little bit different when you play at that field as opposed to some of these road venues that you visit?
It does. It's grass. It's old school.
Is that an advantage when you go against teams that maybe aren't used to playing on grass?
I don't know if it is or not, to be honest with you. I know that over the years, we've been at a disadvantage because it's been a grass. We've had opportunities taken away from our kids, playoff games, et cetera, because of the conditions of the field. And 2021, we didn't get to host a WPIL playoff game. In 2019, we had the opportunity to host 2 home playoff games. We played one at Greensburg-Salem, the other at Greater Johnstown. But it is really neat that the field is in town, and there used to be a time when people would all walk down the street from their homes and converge on the field because a Friday night is like no other experience. You have the band, you have the cheerleaders, you have the football game going on. You have all these young kids that have hopes and dreams of being football players on that field as well. And that's kind of what the old school, the old town mentality is all about.
Lastly, I know the conference changed it a little bit. You're still going against teams like Steel Valley, South Allegheny. What's your opinion on the landscape of the conference, and what would you deem a successful season for Ligonier Valley?
Well, at this point, we need to get back to the playoffs. And it's well documented about our lack of success the last 3 years. I'm talking about winning this year, which is the first time I've ever done that. So that's our first goal. Also, it's well documented, we didn't win a conference game last year either. So we want to win conference games. We want to get ourselves to the playoffs. We want to become relevant again. No one's talking about us. No one does articles on us. And I tell our kids, you can be upset about it all you want, but you have to earn those things. You know, whenever teams are getting, camp visits and things like that, and we don't get a sniff of that, well, we have to earn that. And that's kind of put a chip on our shoulder going into the season, and hopefully our kids will respond. We're getting enough bulletin board material that they should be really motivated.
Roger, thanks for doing this. I think this will be the 15th year that you and I have been talking, going back to my Latrobe Bulletin days when you were in a much different conference. But
well, you haven't aged a day.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes,
thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it as always. That is Roger Beidel, the head coach of the Ligonier Valley Rams. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will hear from Nick Kiefer, the head coach of the Hempfield area Spartans, right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Welcome to the Seton Hill DPT program.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
For a while, it looked as though the 2025 season would be a breakthrough campaign for the Hempfield area Spartans. They won their first 3 games overall and also claimed a crucial conference victory in 6A. However, 3 consecutive losses in the conference left them outside of the playoffs once again. Now the Spartans are tasked with replacing record-setting quarterback and receiver as they try to reload on the fly in 6A.
Gone is QB Dom Dietrich, who graduated and is now at St. Vincent after passing for more than 2,200 yards and 21 scores last season. Senior Cardin Lippman now takes the reins, and he follows in the footsteps of his older brother Kieran. Lippman knows the Spartans' offense will look quite different with him at the helm.
So I'm more of a speed read option. I'm more good with my brain, I think. And I think most likely we're going to be doing read option a lot. RPOs, a bunch of stuff where we can confuse the defense and move the ball.
Receiver Jack Kopis also matriculated to the D1 ranks after he caught more than 60 passes in 2025. However, Lucas Simmons is back after he emerged in his return to the sport last year, and Troy Sebring also seems poised for a big campaign. The running backs lack a proven commodity, but Andrew Bentz is among the options to get carries. The group has built confidence through the offseason, though, winning a pair of 7-on-7 events.
The first one was definitely a big one, and then county, we were like, we're definitely winning this. There was no doubt in our mind that we were going in there and winning that, even against PT, because we were in the final with them, and we knew this year we were coming back at for blood.
Special teams could provide a boost with speedy returner Deron Hunter, while the defense will count heavily on edge rusher Xavier Smith, who burst onto the scene after transferring in before last season. A major college prospect, Smith believes Hempfield can unlock a higher level of play.
To me, I think we just need to communicate more. Like I said, we were very close-knit, but honestly, I feel like we lacked a lot of communication in very pivotal points of our game. And we would have a lot of good moments and bright moments, but it wouldn't mean anything because our weak links in the game, we weren't communicating. So I feel like a lot of communication this year is really what we need.
325-pound center Jacob Wiederstein is one of the top linemen on a group that certainly passes the eye test. For head coach Nick Kiefer to see his team snap their lengthy playoff drought in the largest classification, the Spartans must play as one.
We definitely, as a team, became closer. My first year playing, it was almost like skill guys and linemen weren't a team, but now we're all one, I would say. That's the biggest thing I've seen throughout the 4 years.
Hempfield area will open 2026 on the road playing Bethel Park. They then will host Penn Trafford. They'll also be playing at Penn Trafford in a matchup against the Norwin Knights in Week 7. Training Camp Preview brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, now with online ordering available at playitagainsports.com.
I feel like it's definitely very important, like for high school, because a lot of kids, get peer pressured into drinking and doing drugs. So like doing the events like in a school setting, I feel like definitely like try to prevent kids from like going to like parties and drinking and driving and doing drugs and being peer pressured.
We just want to, talk about the dangers of the substance abuse in our community, and we want to help be a part of stopping that.
Welcome back to Manor Valley Golf Course here on the Westmoreland Sports Network as we keep things rolling for our high school kickoff show. Jack Ridenauer here with you, now joined by the head man of the Hempfield area Spartans, Coach Nick Kiefer. Coach, first off, pleasure. Great to see you as always. A good time to see you when it means that it's football season, obviously. But I want to dive into the last couple weeks. How has camp been? And with this now being your 4th year, what's this camp been like and a little bit different from the last 3?
Well, obviously, this one was a little different with Labor Day getting pushed back and camp getting pushed back. So this week that was supposed to be camp, we started school for teachers, and 90% of my staff are teachers. So we ended up last week with Heat Week having 3 2-a-days. So that was a different structure, but I think the kids responded and we got in what we needed to. So overall, I thought it was a great 2 weeks and had a successful scrimmage yesterday with Kiski, so ready to rock this week, preparing for Bethel.
Well, I'm excited to talk about this group because you do bring back a good bit of experience, 7 starters on the offense, 7 starters on the defense. What have you liked about that group, especially the leadership aspect from them? Well,
I'm glad you said that because leadership, for sure. And it started last season. We gave them about 2 weeks off, and we were in the weight room right away. So those kids have been consistently in the weight room if they weren't playing another sport, and they've been locked in since last November. So really like the leadership they're showing, and they're taking younger kids under their wing, and just been an overall great experience so far. And some of them that are stepping into new roles are really excited and to get their opportunity to be the guy this year.
One of those guys that's going to step into a new role, Carden Littman, taking over the reins at the quarterback position. What's that been like for you and him working this season, and especially when you know that he's going to be your guy and there's going to be no question of who the backup will be?
Absolutely, yeah. There's no question that Carden was our guy this year, and I'm super excited for him. He's been with us since, I think, 2nd grade on the sidelines, being a ball boy when I taught him at Fort Allen Elementary School, pulled him out of PE class and said, hey, you and your older brother are going to be ball boys for me. So it was it's been really cool seeing him grow, and he's been waiting for this opportunity. He started on defense for us last year, so this is not going to be the first time he's under those Friday night lights. It will be the ball in his hands every play, but I think he's ready for it, and he's done everything that he needed to do to be ready to be our starting quarterback.
Where have you noticed him grow the most?
I think just confidence in being a vocal leader. 2 years ago, Dom Dietrich had some health issues in the summer, and he stepped right in, no questions asked, led us through the summer in 7-on-7s. Last year he started on defense and was the best backup quarterback he could be and took advantage of every rep he had in practice. So coming in this summer, I don't think it could have gone any better. We won the W&J 7-on-7, won the county 7-on-7, had a really successful pit camp. So it's just been a really great summer. He's getting better with every rep. So I really like where our offense is when it's in his hands.
I read an article that you said that you felt during this offseason your team got a lot more athletic. And I'm sure that the aspect of having these GPS monitors in practice, monitoring the guys, seeing their levels and seeing how they're performing has had a little bit of a hand in that. Talk a little bit about the GPS monitoring and just where that came about and how that has been for the team.
Well, I think being an educator, it's drilled into us that we have to always evaluate what we do. So I think that the staff we have at Hempfield, we always meet in the off season and in the coach's office on how we can improve practices and what we need to be doing. So a huge shout out to Tim Evans. He founded it, West Virginia and Pitt baseball camps. He brought that on to our team. Shout out to our parents club that paid almost $5,000 for us to have 25 units for our kids to use. So we're really fortunate that we have the support from the parents club, and we have a strength coach like Tim that goes down those rabbit holes to see what we need to be doing each day to get our kids prepared so we don't have those week one cramps, and make sure our legs are ready to go, we're explosive enough, we're getting enough speed work. So it's been really, really exciting. And when you talk about how athletic we are, when every single skill kid is running over 19 miles per hour at practice, we have D-Ron Hunter hitting 21.3 miles per hour. That's just really, really neat to see, especially for, I was telling you before, my brother Zach and Tim and I, we have a nerd group chat where he sends the analysis of every practice and was it good enough? Do we need to do more? Maybe we need to start with sprint work. So I think hopefully that we're in the best shape of these kids' lives, and it should show next week, hopefully, and we don't get tired and get those cramps that you usually see at the beginning of the season.
You mentioned some of the speed from those skill position guys, and I'd love to talk a little bit about those guys, and especially the wide receiver group. How have you seen them grow and really kind of take on an even bigger role now that they know that they're going to be the guys, but then also pairing that with Carden as well offensively?
Absolutely. Like last year, we had, prolific duo of Jack Kopis and Dom Dietrich. And yes, we lost those guys, and also Henry Muchler, who had, I think, 35 catches for 500 yards. But the guys that are playing and stepping in this year all played on defense last year. Or Troy Sebring had to step in when some kids got hurt last year. Lucas Simmons still had a role offensively with 5 touchdowns as our third leading receiver. So all these kids were doing things on Fridays. It just wasn't specifically as the guy. So now, Carden has a ton of different kids to go to, and you can't really double one kid because we have all those kids that can make plays. And then you also have sophomore D-Ron Hunter is a 10.8 100-meter dash sprinter. And you have Andrew Bentz out of the backfield who can roll as well, almost hitting 20 miles per hour in practice. So we feel really, really good about our skill kids. And when your 2 tight ends, when Riley Evans and Xavier Smith, those guys are running just as fast as our receivers in practice, but they're 200 pounds and will run through you. We just feel really, really good about our skill.
I need to catch my breath with the speed of these guys. That's incredible. Well, I know that this is your 4th year at the helm, and obviously they say the jump from first to second year is where you learn a lot. But as you get into your 3rd and now 4th year, where do you think you've learned the most, and especially when you go back to that first year and to go back to now?
I think the first year, and when I was just an offensive coordinator with Coach Bowen, I was worried about calling the perfect play. And I'm fortunate that the guys on our staff, they're not afraid to tell me where they think I can grow, and I try to lean on them with the amount of head coaches that I have on my staff. So I'm learning that it's players, not plays. So I'm trying to get our athletes the ball, let them go be athletic and make plays, and good things will happen. So that's where I feel like we've been growing as a program, that, the scheme is there. They know it. It's their 4th year in it. And now let's just let the kids get the ball in their playmakers' hands and go make plays.
I also saw that you guys are going to be on primetime TV this year. Thursday Night Football coming back to the WPIAL. How much excitement around the program for that?
It's the last week of the season. To be honest, I didn't even really talk about it with the kids because we're, trying to focus on the task ahead of us. But, I'm sure it will be exciting that week. Carlo, Mr. Insider, he does a really nice job of trying to promote high school football, just like you guys do here at Westmoreland Sports. So it'll be exciting, and I'm sure it's nice when you're the only game on in town and everyone will be watching. So I'm sure the kids will be excited. They'll be a little bit out of juice last game of the season, but we haven't even spoken about it because we were worried about having a great scrimmage with Kiski, and now all focus goes to Bethel Park.
Well, Coach, really excited for this season with you and the Spartans. Before we let you run, I know that the last few years, the big thing it feels has been the consistency throughout the full season, playing strong all the way to the very end. What do you think it'll take for this group this year to really put together a strong season like that and push to the playoffs?
I think in 6A, it's not just being in the weight room. Everyone's in the weight room, right? It's all those little things of nutrition, getting enough sleep, hydrating, and that's where I think that the GPS things, those are going to help us make sure that we're staying healthy, we're making sure our practices are hard enough and the intensity is where it needs to be so they're prepared to play on Fridays. And then it takes a little bit of accountability of the kids, eating the right way, bringing a snack after school, and making sure that their bodies are prepared to play a heavyweight fight every Friday.
Well, Coach, we're excited for that heavyweight fight every single Friday. Thanks so much for stopping by, and good luck this season.
Well, thank you, everything. Westmoreland Sports, you guys are amazing for the county and the kids. I know everyone appreciates everything you do, so thanks for being the best.
Well, we appreciate your time, and we'll have time with Jason Fazekas joining us next. That's Nick Kiefer of the Hempfield Area Spartans. Don't go anywhere. We've got more coverage coming up next right here on WSN.
Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf, science is everywhere! Schedule a tour today!
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
Although the Vikings won 5 games a year ago, a 3-game skid to end the season forced them to miss the playoffs for the first time in a handful of years. However, with the quarterback competition heating up in training camp, there's a belief that the Vikings can take a next step offensively this season.
Last year's QB, Dane Firmstone, graduated after passing for 600 yards. 2 juniors are vying for the gig in Cole Hart and Bobby Smith-Noski, the latter of whom started at Greensburg Central Catholic for most of 2025. For a Vikings offense that has long been predicated on using misdirection to run the ball, this year's attack will strive to be two-dimensional.
Running, it's always been our bread and butter, so we're going to continue to pound the run game, and hopefully that opens up more of a pass game this year.
What's good about the wing T is people know we're going to run the ball a lot, and we're good at it. But also this year, I think we can definitely pass the ball. With Bobby or Cole, we can definitely pass the ball. So a little bit of different variety.
We're going to have a major improvement on our ability to pass compared to the previous years. So we have a lot of good receivers in the slot, and we have 2 good quarterbacks with good arms.
Steven Perdina is back after rushing for nearly 600 yards and scoring 9 times a year ago, both team high marks. Turkowitz will also factor into the rushing attack, while Brady Brooks is another name to monitor. The most successful Vikings teams in recent years have won in the trenches, though, and that'll be the expectation with players like Christian Brodak anchoring the units.
A lot of our defensive schemes are based around rushing up the middle. I play nose guards. That's my position a lot. Taking up blockers, rushing A-gaps, stopping the inside run. It's a big part of our scheme.
Embracing the physicality of the Class 3A Interstate Conference is a requirement for the Vikes to compete with reigning conference champ Elizabeth Forward, as well as Bell Vernon area, Southmoreland, and Derry area. Head coach Jason Fazekas has proven to be the right man for the job, and so far, it seems like this year's version of the Vikings have the mentality necessary.
People have been a lot more locked in. There's a lot more willingness to play. It seemed like some of our guys at the end of last season, they're ready to just go home and call it quits. But I don't see that at all with this group we have this year. They're ready. They're excited to play. They want to go. Want to get out of it. Everyone wants to go on a playoff run.
The Vikings begin their season with a short trek down to Fayette County to play at Laurel Highlands. Their first conference game will be at home against Derry area, and they'll wrap up the season with a rivalry matchup at Southmoreland. This training camp preview is brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, now with online ordering at playitagainsports.com.
When something doesn't feel right and surgery is the answer, you shouldn't have to travel far. At Independence Health System, our general surgeons specialize in minimally invasive and robotic procedures, combining advanced techniques with something just as powerful, knowing you. Through focused teamwork between you and your primary care physician, your care is built around you. And with 5 local hospitals, there's no need to travel far. Find expert care here at Independence Health System.
All right, we are back here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, Manor Valley Golf Course in Export, the site of this year's annual Westmoreland Sports Network High School Football Preview. And our outstanding coaches continue to come up. And now sharing the mic with me, yours truly, Jonathan Whaley, is one of the more veteran coaches currently in the WPIAL, particularly with one school, and that is head coach Jason Fazekas for the Mount Pleasant Vikings. Last year, in Interstate Conference, they were 2-3, 5-5 overall, finished in 4th place, but did not make the playoffs because of the qualifying criteria for that. So, Coach, thanks for coming and being part of our show again this year.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for having me.
Coach, this is your 9th season as the head football coach at Mount Pleasant, and you spent 24 years in the business. So when I'm talking about the coaches we've been interviewing here today, you may be the most senior member or close to it. So you're one of the old heads, so to speak, in this new young breed of high school coaches.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend right now, too. You know, it's really unbelievable sometimes. I think about things in years of 20, 25 years ago. So it's been a pretty good run.
What do you, getting to your team, and we're not going to get into specific players so much, but what are some of the things that you expect to be the strengths of this year's outfit and the areas that you would like to see improvement from last year's squad?
Well, we always take the approach. It always starts up front, and we're expecting both sides of the ball to play better than we did last year, you know, with the front play. And I think one of the things that we have going for us this year, we seem to have a little bit more depth at our skill positions than what we've had in past years. So we can combine that with some pretty good line play and the skill kids. I think that would be, a big part of any success that we have.
Yeah, and I want to mention earlier, now that I didn't say earlier, about Coach Fazekas. He attended Clarion University, got his Bachelor of Science there, and Indiana University of PA got his Master's. And he's been the head coach at his high school for 9 years and a part of that coaching staff for 24. His overall record as a head coach coming into this season, 44 up and 49 down. And he's WPIL playoff appearances. Well, yeah, he's had a few. 2024, 2023, 2022, 2021, 2020. The beat goes on, Coach. So you've got the legacy there, and I think you're right to be considered among the veteran coaches in the WPIL with your success and your longevity.
Right. I mean, it's a pleasure to be a coach at that school. So hopefully, do a good enough job for him.
All right. So the next thing I want to ask you here, Coach, we'll change gears a little bit. And I'd like to play a game of word association with you. I will ask you a question, I say a word, and I want you to respond with your football-like equivalent to that term. And I think this is one of the ways that we'll let the folks kind of get the coaches that we're talking to here tonight, a little bit of their personality in the show. And like anything, the longer you've been in the business, you have maybe a different way of describing that term. So the first one I want to start us with is intelligence.
You talking like in terms of football intelligence? Yeah. I mean, for me, with high school kids, we're real big about trying to get them to do what we want them to do within the scheme. And if we can get them really good and get that high IQ with the football side of things, then what I hope they can do is apply that information, like when things break loose and it doesn't go as planned, or maybe we see something that we don't expect. So that's my approach. That's what I look at it. It means to me.
Speed.
Difference maker. I mean, it often defines games, and sometimes you have more, sometimes you have less, but it's actually a big determiner when you're talking in the high school level.
Toughness.
I love it to be tough. We try to be as tough as we can, and that's the other thing too. Like, you're not always going to be as tough as what you think you were from year to year. It's something that we try to develop, and it seems like some teams have a little bit more than others.
game IQ.
I think what we said earlier, about being able to apply that knowledge of your base schemes, your base plan, and be able to make that adjustment when things break loose. When you have to adjust or you're seeing unexpected fronts or different coverages, things of that sort.
Selflessness.
No one's above the program. Big thing, what we try to communicate at Mount Pleasant. I think that's a really important one. We're all there for what's best for the team, and that can go in a lot of ways with what you do off the field and how you're playing as well.
And, Coach, you are finished. Thank you.
Sure.
And I hope the folks out there enjoy hearing some of the coaches respond to some things that aren't typically asked of them. Changing gears, let's talk a little bit about how you assess the conference. You said to me many times before, it's always very competitive with the teams that are in there now. As you look ahead to starting Friday night when the games count and the march to the postseason begins, talk a little bit about what you expect to see in this conference.
Well, with a few new teams this year from what we've had, but a lot of us were pretty experienced with each other, and I really just expect it to be a quality conference. We really have to play our best week in and week out when we get into that conference play, because I do expect it to be pretty deep this season.
A friend of mine, Coach, her name is Gina. She's from Springdale, Pennsylvania, and a former Dynamo's cheerleader, and she says she's a Crimson Tide fan. So I didn't get into detail about that. But she asked me the other day this week, she said, Jonathan, what is your favorite football movie of all time? And I think when you and I were first broaching the subject in a conversation we had the other night, you were talking about how it'll be interesting, depending on the experience of the head coach, Jonathan, that you're talking to, which one they would select. So have you had a chance to think about that?
Yeah, well, not really saying I have a favorite one or anything like that. But thinking back, you've already exposed me as being an older guy in the coaching ranks, so I'll date myself a little bit more and go back to the early 1990s with a movie called The Program.
Yes.
It kind of had a unique take on things, and when you're a young guy playing in the PSAC at that time, I think that movie kind of translates with me a little bit.
And for the folks out there that aren't familiar with that, maybe describe a little bit about what that movie was about.
It was just playing on the aspects of the lighter side of college football and maybe some of the problems to go with it as well.
Well, Coach, you got the opener, and I just was looking for to see who you're opening with. You will be playing on the 28th at Laurel Highlands, the Mustangs.
Yep, that's it.
What do you think about them?
Well, we just got into their film today, and, I think they're going to be a pretty good challenge for us. I think their film looks pretty good, so we're going to approach that like any week, that we're going to try to be our best. I also think that right now, this part of the year, it's real important that our focus is on what we're doing, trying to get better. At the same time, we know that they're going to give us some challenges for sure.
24 years in, another Friday night, another opening season. Maybe you can share with our viewers out there what keeps you in the business of being a head football coach?
Well, that's a good question. I think about that sometimes, to be honest with you. I think number one, what it comes down to is I love football. I just love the game, love the grind, love everything that goes with it. And honestly, I think the other thing is the kids. Those relationships that we have with them, they're very enjoyable. They make things light sometimes. So I think, honestly, the love of the game and just the relationship with the kids is what keeps me in it.
And you've done it well, as I just said. Your record, your longevity, playoffs, and all those things. You've done a lot of good things up there for Mount Pleasant High School football.
Right, thanks.
Any other thoughts you would like to share as far as where your team is at right now?
Well, just to keep things kind of basic, what we're going off is what we did in the scrimmage and what we did in our camps and everything, and really typical like every year. There's some things we're doing well, and there's some other things that we have to get better with. Some of the things that we need to improve on, it's just going to be a matter of reps and take a little bit of time to do. So I think that, we're kind of on track with that, and starting tomorrow, we're going to fix what we're not good at, and we're going to try to get better on Friday than what we were on Saturday. That's how we're going to approach it this week.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good theory and how you want to go about doing it, Coach. Coach, thank you for coming and spending some time with us here.
Yeah,
I know
sure.
During the season, you're thinking and preparing and all, but I think it's a great opportunity for you to come in, kind of share a little bit about where your team is at, where you're at as far as the head coach, and share a little fun, a little humor with us here today.
Yeah, sure, I appreciate it. You guys do a good job. I'm glad I can make it. I appreciate the invite.
Okay. Best of luck.
Sure thing. Thanks.
Coach Jason Fazekas of the Mount Pleasant Vikings will be right out there battling next Friday. We'll take a break. More of our 2026 Westmoreland Sports Network High School Football Preview Show will continue. Where at, Dan?
On the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Yes, on the Westmoreland Sports Network. We'll be right back.
I am the swiftest creature alive. I can make it. I will make it.
That's where we come in. The Collision Shop by Jason Mignon is your one-stop shop for all things auto body repair. Our experienced technicians and state-of-the-art facilities have you covered. Body repairs, refinishing, glass replacement, and more. Our friendly office staff is happy to assist you through every step of your vehicle's repair process. Visit thecollisionshopbyjason.com for our complete list of services.
I feel like it's definitely very important like for high school because a lot of kids, get peer pressured into drinking and doing drugs. So like doing the events like in a school setting, I feel like definitely like try to prevent kids from like going to like parties and drinking and driving and doing drugs and being peer pressured.
We just want to, talk about the dangers of the substance abuse in our community, and we want to help be a part of stopping that.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
The Derry area Trojans are coming off of a winning record and a playoff appearance from a season ago. The first playoff appearance under head coach Mike Arone, entering his 5th season at the helm. This year, the Trojans return a bulk of its core and look to add another element to its offense.
I think Anthony's having a lot of confidence this year. Receivers looking pretty good. I don't know. I think with the running game and passing game coming together, we'll just try and keep that flowing into the new season and see if we can get a good balance.
Last season, starting quarterback Anthony Sacco threw for just under 1,000 yards in 10 games. Doherty, who rushed for over 1,200 yards last season, believes a more balanced approach on offense will pay dividends.
Having someone who can distract the defense a little bit, draw the attention away from your run game and then open up more opportunities with play action and whatnot, it gives you more chances to catch them off guard and really put together a good drive.
Coach Arone certainly has weapons at wideout. Noah Stow is back for his senior season after tallying the second most receptions and receiving yards on the team last year. Arone also has high expectations for incoming freshman Cale Brown. So the skill positions for Derry are coming along. But what about in the trenches? Well, seniors Aiden Piper and Chase Lucan say they feel different than years prior.
I've been working super hard. I lost 20 pounds, got down, getting faster, stuff like that. So just being the best I can for these dudes.
I lost a good bit of weight. I lost like 70 pounds. So definitely been working harder. I know a lot of these guys have been putting in the work. A lot of them been here since summer started, putting in that work in the gym, night practices, learning their plays and stuff. So hopefully we can definitely build off from last year and make it farther this year.
Well, one way Derry can prove it's built off of last season is by getting the job done in Week 1 versus crosstown rival Latrobe.
We're looking forward to the game, and I think we have a lot of friends on the team too, obviously, neighboring towns, so it should be a lot of fun.
It's been a while since we've played them. I'm excited. We've all wanted it.
How's the trash talk been?
I don't know. I keep out of it, but I'm just hoping there's a lot of people there. The stadium should be pretty filled, so.
The Trojans begin the season against Latrobe on August 28th on the road, and the home opener is against Laurel Highlands on September 4th. This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports. For online ordering, visit playitagainsports.com.
Wildcat Championship Belts recognizes that every game, every practice, every drop of sweat, it all leads to this moment. Because champions deserve more than a trophy. They deserve something that lasts. At Wildcat Championship Belts, we craft custom student-athlete belts built for pride, passion, and performance. Fully personalized, handcrafted quality, 100% championship energy. Celebrate your team's legacy with Wildcat Championship Belts. where every athlete can be a champion.
And we welcome you back to the beautiful Manor Valley Golf Course here in Export as we get set for high school football 2026. And to my left, head football coach of the Dairy Area Trojans, Mike Arone, 5th season already. It just flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It really, just like this summer flew by. We're going to start school tomorrow. But we want to thank you and your brother Dan, Westmoreland Sports Network, for having us all here. It's always a great event, and we're real appreciative of everything you do.
We're going to talk about your 2026 Dairy Area Trojans, Mike. But first, a word used in football a lot is family. And I know that your family at home took a hit a few months ago when your wife Julie passed away. And I know it was sudden, it was quick, and there were a lot of conversations, and the community certainly rallied around you and the football program. But I want to give you the opportunity to talk about, because I know Julie was always there after every game and always with you. So just the opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah, she was my biggest fan. She was our biggest fan, whether I was at Homer or when I came to Dairy. She quickly got a whole bunch of blue and gold clothing and threw away her black and white clothing, and was there all the time, and it meant a lot to me. So it's been difficult, but the support myself and my family have received from not only my football community, but this coaching community around Westmoreland County has been phenomenal, and it's been a real help. So I know she'll be watching from a better place, and we'll hope to make her proud.
On the Westmoreland Sports Network, like she always did when she couldn't make
That's
it,
right.
which wasn't too often. Mike, let's talk about the Trojans. Last year, qualified for the playoffs. So in 4 years of your tutelage, 2 playoff appearances, and you were able to do that last year. Not a victory, but a stepping stone, certainly. This year, you bring back a very veteran team. Talk about them and who else you're going to run out there on Friday.
Yeah, we're going to rely on experience of our senior class and some juniors. When you talk about Max Doherty, Anthony Sacco, Aiden Piper, Chase Lucon, I could go on and on, Noah Stow. Those guys have a lot of game experience, and we're going to count on that for them no longer being rookies per se, and they've really shown it in practice. We can put stuff in front of them. They can adjust on the fly. They know what we expect. They know what our system involves. So we're going to rely on those leaders to kind of bring some of the younger guys along throughout the season.
You talk about leaders, and it starts with Max Doherty, just an outstanding athlete, multi-sport athlete, and it kind of starts with him, doesn't it? And I know he gives all the credit to, as you just saw in our training camp preview, he gives credit to his teammates and what happens up front, and that's a very important part. And I think on your football team this year, you have some guys up there with some veteran leadership in Chase Lucon and company, so you can talk about them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've always relied on the line of scrimmage to be stout for us. I think that's important on both sides of the ball. Starting with Devin Oler, 2-year starter at center, he's gotten bigger, stronger, much more confident. You move over to Chase and then Aiden Piper. Those guys will lock down the left side of the line. On the right side, Aspen Blystone's going to step in at guard. He has seen some playing time in many different positions for us, but he'll hold down that right guard spot. We have a battle going on still at right tackle. Jacob Melliger stepped in there, and a couple other guys have been vying for some playing time. So we're trying to solidify that up front, because it's not a surprise that we like to run the ball, and we're going to have to run the ball to be successful. So it's been a good mesh going through camp and throughout summer, and we think we're ready to go.
You look at your all-conference players, Max, over 1,200 yards rushing a year ago. Aiden Piper, we talked about Chase, Noah Stow, Carson Wires. I know he got banged up a bit, and he may not be in there until late September, but depth is always a big part, right, of high school football, and when you start getting the bumps and bruises and the injuries. What are we like this year with that and the numbers, and who we're going to replace if somebody goes down?
It is a struggle. In 3A, we have 41 kids. on our roster, which is a good number. But when a lot of those kids are young, inexperienced kids, you have to see what you got. So we went into our scrimmage yesterday, and you probably have a question on there, but I'm gonna preempt it for you. We went into our scrimmage yesterday with a plan. A lot of our experienced guys, we know what they can do. We know what to expect out of them. So we need to find some depth, and we got a lot of reps to a lot of kids who are kind of up and coming. So, but it's a concern. It's definitely a concern because we're not real deep in some positions, and we have to get a whole lot deeper. So we're just looking to see if kids are ready to step up and play.
One position you are deep in, at least for the starter, is Anthony Sacco. I mean, he's been there 3 years, working hard. He's so competitive. I see that too, in phys ed class. But you look at a kid like Anthony and how he has grown. I know you scrimmaged yesterday, but he's been practicing all summer. How's he looking? And I'm sure he's fired up to get things started.
Yeah, he's ready to go. Lots of experience there with Anthony. What I was really proud of yesterday, he was poised, he was composed, he was calm, no matter what happened, and that's what I've been looking for out of him. And if we can keep that going for at least 10 games and then hopefully more, he's going to do a really nice job for us. He's a leader of the offense. He knows it inside and out. We just need him to calm down in the biggest of situations, and he did that yesterday. So real proud of him and looking forward to see what he's going to do this year.
You always tell me that at the beginning of the season, a goal is to win the conference, and that's where you're at. I know when you first started, you have to, kind of bring Trojan football back, and you've done that. So now each year when you regroup, the first thing you say is, it's not about we just want to win some games. We want to win a conference title. What are some of the short-term goals of this team that you want to talk about to get to that point?
Well, that's a great question. Win every game. I mean, that's what we're into now. I know when I first started, you bring that up, we just wanted to compete. That's no longer the goal to just compete. It's to go out and win every week. I'm kind of new to the Steal the Whipule and the non-conference games, and people say, well, that's just an exhibition. And I have a rough time getting through my head that it's just an exhibition game. So we're just as focused on our non-conference games as we are in our conference games. But a short-term goal would be to win the conference, and that's no easy task because it's a strong conference. But we're going out to win every game, and that's our goal.
We talked about some of the veterans. What about some of the newcomers you're leaning on?
So you talked about Carson a little bit, who we're going to not see for a while probably, but he's healing well. Freshman Cale Brown, he's been an eye-opener in camp. We knew Cale was going to be a player, but he's really stepped in. He'll probably start at free safety for us. He made a transition from outside linebacker. He'll also probably be our change of pace back. He's shown some real promise in the backfield. Guys like Travis Tukalski, who's young, started last year, but he's an up-and-comer. You're really putting me on the spot here with our veteran-laden team. And I don't like to name drop. So those guys know who they are, and we're excited to get started.
I won't put you on the spot when it comes to the kicker, because it seems like last year you found one in Max Dobrak, which, by the way, your key losses, obviously, this season, Dylan Pitzer. He's at the University of Pittsburgh right now as a walk-on and doing well, I hear. Caden Wires, Max Dobrak, and Ricky Daniels. But with this veteran team and these other guys you talked about, you always need a kicker because special teams are certainly a big part of a football game each and every Friday.
Yeah, and we were worried. Like, for about a week before camp, we talked about it, and, we don't have a kicker. I don't know what we're going to do. And then Coach Sacco texted me one day that he was going over the field with Parker Petrosky because Parker claimed he could kick, and a lot of kids claimed they could kick. And he sent me some video, and then the first day in camp, Parker started kicking some PATs, and he was actually pretty good. And we thought, okay, we found a kicker. So we've been working with him, brought in a couple coaches. Coach Brzezinski from Blairsville actually came and worked with him. And he looks pretty good. So I'm hoping we have that solidified. Told Parker, I just need you to make a 20-yard field goal consistently to get us that extra point. Besides that, everything else is icing on the cake. So Parker's going to take that role. But we also found out this week in practice that Anthony Sacco can actually kick a little bit. So
Anthony will tell you he can do anything.
Yeah, but he actually did. Yeah. I just put him up there and said, kick the ball, and he was pretty good at it. So,
well, I'm sure Parker's uncle can help Tyler Matuzak, who was an outstanding kicker at Derry and end up going to Slippery Rock and kicking as well.
He has been coming and helping a little bit, helping Parker out. So I think we have that ironed out.
Mike, you talk about the conference, and I know the favorite, Elizabeth Forward again. If you want to look at paper or whatever, I know coaches don't like to do that, but there are a couple newcomers in Bell Vernon area and Waynesburg into the conference. Just talk about the conference quickly and what you're seeing there.
Yeah, it's tough. There's not an easy game on the schedule. And some familiar faces with Mount Pleasant and Salem and Southmoreland, EF you mentioned, but then you add Bell Vernon and Waynesburg to that, and there's not an easy game on the schedule, so we have to be prepared every week. Bell Vernon has a storied history. I don't know much about Waynesburg, but some of my assistant coaches do. So we look forward every game to it being a challenge, and we're just hoping to put our best foot forward.
A couple of other things. First of all, talking about assistant coaches, your staff with offensive coordinator Joe Mylant, defensive coordinator Derek Molnar, who is in attendance here today at Manor Valley, and yourself, all in the school each and every day with his kids. How much of an impact does that make, Mike?
A big one. I feel blessed with my staff, and Derek and Joe being within the school it's such a blessing. The kids know that what's expected of them, and all three of us were there, so if they're to do something, whether that's academics or just, acting like a fool, they know not to do it because the hammer's going to come down. So that's great. I have to mention Coach Poe, Coach Sacco, Coach Hissam. Our kids are really lucky with the staff that we've assembled. There's a lot of experience there. They're not only great coaches, I say this all the time, they're phenomenal role models, and they're great men for our kids to look up to, so I feel very lucky.
Yeah, and watching these interviews throughout the day, I heard John Ruane at Penn Trafford talk about how important it is to have that camaraderie of a coaching staff after all of these seasons as head coach. Finally, the rival matchup is back again, renewed. It was since 2023, Derry area and Greater Latrobe, and it's back this year. What went into getting that back, and what happened to Riot on the Ridge?
Well, I'll start with the first question. Just talking to Coach T-Mac, and our kids really wanted to play this game, and we talked about it, and we decided to play it and picked it as our Week 0 game. We would have hoped to continue the rivalry with Ligonier Valley as well. However, we have no control over the schedule the Whipule sets, and they didn't ask for our opinion. They just said, here's your schedule, and Ligonier Valley wasn't on it. So we weren't real happy about that, but our kids are excited to get this matchup going again with Latrobe. I know the community's excited. There's already like a Derry versus Latrobe Chick-fil-A night, I think, on Thursday. So it's super exciting. It's going to be a big challenge for us, but our kids are ready to go.
Well, being a Derry alum with that guy sitting over there, Dan Flickinger, we always like the Derry-Latrobe matchup, so that'll be fun, and that'll be on the road in Week 1. By the way, we'll have all 10 Derry area high school football games broadcast here on the Westmoreland Sports Network throughout the season, with a pregame interview with this guy to my left, head coach Mike Arone. And Mike, thank you so much. Good luck to you this season, and we'll be talking a lot. Go get them.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
That's head coach Mike Arone, and when we come back to the beautiful Manor Valley Golf Course on this sunny, little windy day, we'll continue with our coaches' interviews as we continue here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
At D'Annunzio's Italian Restaurant in Latrobe, you don't want to miss our Sunday brunch buffet. We have many traditional breakfast items which are a mainstay every Sunday. We also have various salad selections and our historic wedding soup. We even have a carving station with ham and prime rib. The luncheon selections on the buffet change weekly, and stopping at the dessert table to complete your Sunday brunch buffet is simply a must. Call to reserve your spot with reservations starting at 10 and brunch concludes at 2.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
Year one of the Scott Breyer era at Bell Vernon area yielded just a 3-6 record for the Leopards, and they missed out on the playoffs. However, it is understandable looking at how difficult their schedule was. Now in year 2 under Breyer, they're hoping for more continuity, while also dropping down to 3A, a classification in which they went back-to-back as state champs just a few years ago.
2025 was no day at the beach for the Leopards. as they faced Aliquippa, Central Valley, McKeesport, and South Fayette in the non-conference, and bookended their 4A conference slate with Thomas Jefferson and Trinity. BVA was competitive in most of those games, including a win against the Warriors that gave Breyer his first victory at the helm. While QB Curdy Wade is among the notable departures from last year, senior Jace Jetico and junior Cameron Black are battling for the starting role at quarterback. Meanwhile, Chase Petrosky returns after rushing for more than 800 yards and leading the squad with 11 scores in 2025. He sees the move to 3A as one that suits his team well.
If you look at our roster, look at us, we only have like 23 kids. So, us at 3A is, it's manageable. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit less difficult, but it's still going to be pretty hard because the teams in our, 3A is definitely pretty good.
Skylar Gush is another player to keep an eye on in the backfield, while Luca Galani could be dynamic at receiver. Cam Jenko, a hulking figure who has been a disruptive defender for years, could now be a wild card on the offensive side. Up front, Dalton Dommett is the anchor at tackle. The current group of seniors witnessed what made the 2023 state champion so special, and they are hoping to channel some of that chemistry and leadership to make a run of their own.
Yeah, we need to get that standard of winning back. Last year's season went 3-6. Didn't have seniors to carry us and carry the rest of the team. So now we actually have seniors and carry the rest of the team and hopefully make it far.
I think we all just have to be on the same page, have that winning mindset. You can never go into something thinking that another team's better. You have to think that we're the best and nobody can beat us.
Honestly, them seniors, that class, they were together. They were locking hands every practice. They were working together, and I think we got to follow after that. They took after each other, always working in the weight room, on the field, off the field, huddle, everything. We just want to go. We want to go to Heinz Field, and then on after that. It's a good feeling. We did it our freshman year. I didn't do much, but it was a good feeling.
Instead of opting for a second scrimmage this year, Bell Vernon area will play a full slate of regular season games, bookended by a couple of rivalries. They open the season at home against Thomas Jefferson, and they wrap up the regular season at Elizabeth Ford. This training camp preview is brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, now with online ordering at playitagainsports.com.
Play It Again Sports in Greensburg is your locally owned and operated sporting goods store. We set ourselves apart by offering a wide variety of both new and used equipment at competitive prices, located in the Greengate East Plaza, below Walmart. Play It Again Sports' knowledgeable staff will help you and your family prepare for every athletic season. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or trade, we are here as your one-stop shop. At Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, everybody plays.
Manor Valley Golf Course. I'm sure some are working on their golf game, but here on WSN, we're working on our football game as we continue our coverage for our high school football kickoff show. Jack Ridenauer now joined by the head coach of Bell Vernon area, Coach Scott Breyer. Coach, first off, my friend, appreciate you taking a little time. Just a little update on how preseason has been, how training camp has been, and where this team is right now.
I like where we're at. I think that, the offseason, we started right after the end of last season in the weight room. The commitment from the guys has been fantastic. Participation's been great. Lifting all through the winter. And then, in the summer, a couple days a week we've been working on. Great effort by everybody. I love the attitude. I like where we're heading.
Second year for you, what is the biggest thing that you learned in that first year?
I was with the program for a while with Coach Humbert, and the hardest thing is I got to be myself. Got to take ownership over everything. Kind of make a slow transition into making things mine and making this program new to these kids, and not to disrespect anything that had happened in the past or to ignore all that, but the one thing I'm pretty confident about in all coaches is you have to be yourself. You can't try to be somebody else. And just establishing that identity and allowing these kids to establish their identity and take this program in a new direction and have ownership over everything was probably the biggest lesson.
I know this is the first time that you are the head coach at Belle Vernon, but this is not the first time that you've been offered the job at Belle Vernon. Back in 2009, had a chance to be the head coach. Life took you in a different direction, but as life is funny, it comes back around later on.
Right.
What did it mean to you to have a chance to be the head coach, but also almost have a second opportunity after not having that first one earlier?
Yeah, it meant everything to me. The football program has been a large part of not only my life but my family's life. I've had 3 kids go through the program. My 4th is playing right now. We've been heavily involved in the program for 20 years. So, when the timing was right and the opportunity came up again, and couple that with the unbelievable amount of support I had from community and people within the program, it really was an honor to take it. It wasn't something that I went out looking for or ever even thought would happen again. So it was just, everything was right. The timing was right. I had the support in place. And, it was almost one of those situations where you couldn't say no to it. It was almost too good to be true. So I'm very honored to have this opportunity. I'm going to make the most of it. I want nothing more than that program to continue and have the success that it's had for the last 15, 20 years.
Well, I know last year it was a little bit of a slow start, but you guys found your footing midway through the season. And really, when you look at some of the games you lost and you peel the onion back some, they're one-score games, they're a possession game that just doesn't go your way. What do you think it was for that mid-season shift for your team that really allowed for things to kind of get kicked into high gear?
Well, we had some heavy hitters at the beginning, so I put that schedule up against anybody. When you start off against Aliquippa, Central Valley, TJ, McKeesport, I don't know if anybody had a tougher road than that last year. On top of that, we had a lot of guys in new positions. We lost probably one of our best players in Diabre Lightfoot in the third quarter of the Aliquippa game. So I think we had a very resilient group last year. I think that we had a very focused group, a very committed group to getting the program back to where it was. I think that 3-6 record is not reflective of where we were last year. And, I think you look at it at the end of the year, the attitude of the team, those guys would have done anything to play one more week. A lot of times when you're at that point of the year, guys have checked out, they can't wait to be done. And when we lost to Trinity at the end of the year in hopes of a playoff spot, we're gone. It wasn't a very happy time for those guys. They were really upset. They were really looking for that one more shot. Get in the playoffs, maybe we could do something. So, and that was the message I had to them last year at the end of the game. I said, listen, you guys have taken this program and put it back in the right direction. And while people might look at record and not having a playoff experience, and if they want to judge you on that, that's fine. But the one thing we've said at Belle Vernon for a long time: have you left the program in a better place than when you found it? And prior to last year, I don't know if we were in a really good place as a program. At the end of last year, I thought we were in a very good place. It set the table for this year, and that was evident in the fact that we started lifting a week after the season, and we had probably 100% participation from that point on. So that right there shows you the attitude and the commitment to the program that the guys had, and they wanted to bring it back in terms of winning and losing and getting back to the playoffs where we had been in the past.
Well, you're also back in a very familiar territory, being in 3A, being in the Interstate Conference. How much excitement has there been around the team now getting to play some more familiar faces and also getting to renew some rivalries?
Right, and the nice thing, we have 2 of our neighbors right on we start off with TJ, who's right up the road, who's always going to be our rival. We have Elizabeth Forward back. They're a 5-minute drive from us. So, and that's a very good football program. So I'm very excited about having those 2 rivalries still on the schedule. But yeah, some return to some teams that we haven't faced in a while. It's been a couple years. But the drop to 3A, I don't think, and I know we're not approaching it as hey, it's, we're not in 4A anymore. We're going to have a nice go of it here. We faced some very good teams. We got 2 teams in our conference that had 9 wins last year. When it comes down to it, we're a 3-6 football team. So, we got 2 teams right in our conference with EF and Southmoreland that had 9 wins last year. We started off with TJ. There's a lot of quality opponents. We face a lot of good running backs. If you look at our schedule, we got some top-notch running backs that we're going to have to defend. So we definitely have our work cut out for us, and we know that, and that's the approach that we've been taking all summer.
Well, I want to take a quick look at some of the different players and the different position groups for your team, especially the quarterback battle. Mm-hmm. I know that during the summer it was between Jace Jedico along with Cameron Black. What was that like, having those 2 push each other, and what's the update right now with the quarterback battle?
Well, they push each other. Jace has really developed and probably, I don't want to say exceeded our expectations, but he has done nothing to make us have any bit of doubt in him. He is, his effort and his attitude in practice is fantastic. And every time that we've had live competition, whether it's a 7-on-7 or even in our scrimmage this weekend, he's done a great job. I think he's just one of those kids who, when there's going to be a competition, he's going to win. He just has that in him. It's in his blood, and I'm very comfortable with him. But on the flip side, Cam's a junior, and he has, I would say, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, to find someone who is represented what we want in a football player in our program. You'd have a tough time beating what he's done on both sides of the football. So, if something came down and Cam or Jace, either one of them were starting a game, I would feel very confident with whoever was taking those snaps. I think they're both leaders. I think they're both competitors. I think they're both fantastic athletes. They're both good young men. Right now I would probably put Jace ahead of Cam, and he's a senior, and seniors seem to do special things on a football field. When that clock's ticking and you're reaching that expiration date, special things kind of happen. But regardless of it's not a reflection of what Cam has done or hasn't done. He's been fantastic for us. He's moved to safety on defense, and he's done a great job there. He had some good plays at quarterback this weekend. In the scrimmage against Gateway. So very confident in both of those young men. I think they're both capable, and we're in good hands with whoever has the ball in their hand.
Well, it certainly sounds like you got a lot of great pieces in good spots for this season. Coach, before we let you run, I know we talked about how tough the schedule was last year, and like we kind of insinuated, it's not going to get any easier this season. How important is it to come out to a really fast start this year and get off the ground running in that first game?
I mean, so TJ's it is our biggest rival. If you ask anybody within our program, if there's a game that, they want to win, that's going to be it. I think if you go back to 2023, guys who won a state championship, if you ask them their biggest regret, it's that they lost to TJ that year. So that's a big game coming out of the gate, no doubt. That is a big game for us. But I think we have a lot of guys in terms of are in new positions on the field who have earned new positions on the field, who are growing into them, but you don't know how they're going to play until the live bullets start flying, and it really is a baptism by fire on Friday night. You're not going to face anybody tougher on the football field than TJ, so we're going to find a lot about our guys, and the one thing that we've done for the last 6, 7, 8 years at Bell Vernon is we really front load our schedule. There hasn't been an easy start to a season. Starting from our scrimmages to the first 3 or 4 weeks of the year, our schedule has been tough, and that sets us up for success later on in the year. So getting off to a good start, playing a good physical football game is going to put us in a good position for the rest of the year.
Coach, excited for this season for you guys over on the beach, and obviously good luck the rest of the way this year.
Appreciate it.
It's Coach Scott Breyer of the Bell Vernon Area Leopards. Stick with us. We have Coach Tom Pallone joining us here at Manor Valley Golf Course next on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Your next golf adventure awaits at Manor Valley Golf Course in Export. Manor Valley offers 18 scenic holes over gentle sloping fairways and the purest putting surfaces around. Manor Valley Golf Course in Export is the perfect place to host your next golf outing, banquet party, or shower. Manor Valley also offers league play and great membership rates. Tee times available. Call 724-744-4242. Visit ManorValleyGC.com.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
2025 was another typical year at Jeanette as the Jayhawks won 8 games, including a playoff victory. However, they fell in the quarterfinals to Clairton, the eventual state champs. Now they must replace Kimani Brown, their superstar, but there's plenty of players back who are ready to uphold the tradition of Jeanette football.
The loss to the Bears by just 5 points showed how far the Jayhawks had come after they were whitewashed at home by Clairton at the midway point of the season. For the players who are back, like seniors Magi Sanders and Jace Powell, that game gives them greater belief heading into 2026.
Earlier in the season when we lost to Clairton, I felt like that was a fluke. Our team, they didn't bring as much effort, as much heart as we know we could. And then in the playoffs, we really brought that, and you could see what happened with the score.
A positive is that
Wildcat Championship Belts recognizes that every game, every practice, every drop of sweat, it all leads to this moment. Because champions deserve more than a trophy. They deserve something that lasts. At Wildcat Championship Belts, we craft custom student-athlete belts built for pride, passion, and performance. Fully personalized, handcrafted quality, 100% championship energy. Celebrate your team's legacy with Wildcat Championship Belts, where every athlete can be a champion.
We continue here on the Westmoreland Sports Network and now dropping down to Class 1A. John Thompson, the head coach of the Greensburg Central Catholic Centurions, joins. First off, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Always excited to talk to you. Means another season's on the horizon. First, let's take a look back last year. You made the playoffs, and I really think that last regular season game against Leechburg, that was kind of a gut check moment, right? You had to win that game. You blew out the Blue Devils 36-7 to make it in. How important was it to get a playoff spot, even though it probably wasn't the season that you had envisioned?
Yeah, it's always important. It's one of our goals going into every season, and we knew we were up against it, and it was a must-win game, and our kids. Oh, now we're back on.
Yeah, we were punking you there to see if you could figure it
Do I
out.
have to start over again?
Go ahead.
So we knew going at the end of the season to get into the playoffs, that was a game that we had to win, and our kids, coaching staff, everybody came together that week and put together a great game plan and played a great game and won and got into the playoffs.
Is it fair to say that 2025 was kind of an up and down season, however?
To say the least. There's a lot of unexpected things that happen, injuries, and that happens in the course of a football season. So, but yeah, we ended up making it through and made it to the first round, and disappointing in that game, but was proud of our kids and their effort.
Well, one thing that helped you get into the playoffs and then allowed you to be very competitive in nearly upsetting Bishop Canevin was Samir Crosby shifting back to quarterback. He's always been a guy who's had great versatility, but when you put him back there, it seemed like the team really thrived. He's now moved on to Georgetown. When you think of his career and his impact on this program, what is it?
Oh, it was incredible. He's a great young man, as we know, a great football player, and everything he brought to our program, as a player, as a person, as a leader, he just made a great impact on our team.
It leaves a massive void. What he did, again, at numerous positions, he was your top receiver. He was a terrific quarterback. He was probably one of the most electric guys with the ball in his hand. You're not going to have another Samir Crosby on this year's team, I would imagine. So how do you try to fill that void, and who are some guys that can fill that production?
Yes, it is a big void, but we have some great skill coming back, some kids that were, in the shadow of Samir, but contributed quietly during the season, and now for them to step up and take those reins and do the things that we need to win games. We're excited about them, the hard work that they put in the off season, and there's a few of them. We have Colin Sniley, his brother Alex, Carson Kramer, Luca Dennis, Max Weber, Blaze Bugash. So there's a number of kids. I know I'm forgetting a name or two, but those kids have really worked hard this offseason. Look forward to seeing them perform on Friday nights.
When I talked to you earlier this week, I asked about the quarterback position. You mentioned 4 different guys. That's a lot of options. Now, I know you're going to use multiple guys in different roles, so whoever wins that job or however you go about it, multiple of those candidates will see the field. How's that playing out, and how can that maybe be a benefit to have so many guys involved for a vital position?
Well, we hope we get narrowed down to one, and you want to be consistent at the quarterback position. And we think we have that in Colin Snively right now. He's really worked hard at it in this offseason, in the spring into the summer, and got some good quality reps yesterday in our scrimmage. So if we can, be successful there with Colin and run the football and rely on our offensive and defensive line, and that's going to be the strength of our team. Will put us in good position to win some games.
Aiden Lentz, one of those guys that I know when you think of the offensive and defensive line, he's a name that comes to mind. What makes him so special?
Aiden's got a lot of experience. I think he started freshman year, he's limited time, but from his sophomore year on, he's just worked incredibly hard. He's athletic, big kid with great feet, technique, plays with an edge. So he's got that leadership quality on our line with him. And we have Enzo Bard, Sam DeLugas, Reese Weber. Those kids and Sam Kiefer, they are we're going to lean on them a lot this season on both sides of the ball.
The Eastern Conference is the home of the defending state champs and the Clairton Bears. I know that with realignment, there was some change, but some of the big hitters are still in there. Obviously, your team is in with Clairton, Jeanette, Riverview, Leechburg, Springdale. Sarah Catholic enters as well. How do you handicap that conference, and how much better does it make you going against teams like Clairton and Jeanette every year?
Oh, it's just, I think, one of the best single-A section in the WPIAL. I mean, we obviously with Clairton being in there and Jeanette, they're excellent football teams, and from week to week, we got to prepare well and get ready to play and buckle it up and make sure you're ready to go.
I know that the roster size is an issue for your team, but realistically, that's the case for most 1A schools, maybe even some 2A schools. We interviewed Roger Beidel at Ligonier Valley. They don't have a big roster, for instance. What are the challenges of that? How does a head coach try to navigate knowing that if you have 4 or 5 guys injured, you're basically down right on the brink there of the roster that you need?
Right, and we have 29 guys on the roster right now, and a lot of them are young. We have not any or very little experience. I think we have 7 freshmen, maybe 9, and 2 of them have probably even tackled somebody before. So now in practice, you got to manage that, right? You got to be smart as far as how you are preparing them mentally, but also physically. So you make sure you're fresh going into a game every Friday night. But again, physically and mentally ready.
You got that scrimmage behind you. What were the biggest takeaways, both good and bad?
It was good seeing our line, being able to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. We ran the ball pretty effectively. And kids got some experience that haven't gotten much in the past. So we are inexperienced and young, but I think these kids are really coming together as a team, very close-knit group, and to see them compete together was great.
I'm going to ask you to try to look ahead. At the end of this season, what do you think will stand out that you're most going to remember about the 2026 version of GCC?
The team, and the closeness of this group, and whether win or lose, these kids sticking together, and at the end of it, that they're going to be proud of the effort that they gave, and us as coaches proud of them at the end of the year.
For those unaware, head football coach is not your only responsibility at Greensburg Central Catholic, the athletic director as well.
Yeah.
How difficult is it this time of year to try to balance that, and do you find enough time to actually sleep every night?
Speaking of that, it's a challenge, especially with the weather, with all the rain that we've been getting. I mean, rescheduling golf matches and soccer coming up, but
it's a good day right now to golf. We've got a lot of people out here at Manor Valley.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But I think we've already had a golf match canceled for tomorrow because of the weather that we had this weekend. So I was working on that mostly today. But I love the job. I love being in the school all day, being around all these young men and young women, and being an influence on their life.
We'll take it one step further. What about Greensburg Central Catholic in particular is really special to you?
Oh, the history. I mean, I think I've talked about it before. My wife went to school there, her brother, her sister, my father-in-law. So the pride of the school, what it's all about, what we stand for, and the faith integration and academically is so special. And it's a great institution, and I'm very proud to be a part of it.
Lastly, I don't know if you have ever met Jonathan Whaley, one of our broadcasters. He was grilling coaches earlier today about their favorite football movie. What is the answer for you?
Jeez, that's a tough one.
This is the most hard-hitting question asked all day.
I'd have to say, Remember the Titans. Yeah.
Okay, that was the answer that he gave as well. I would probably lean Little Giants on a lighter note.
Oh, gotcha.
That's a good one as well. JT, thanks for doing this. Always good to talk to you, and looking forward to another Centurion season.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
That is John Thompson, the head coach of Greensburg Central Catholic. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will talk to another Class 1A Eastern Conference coach, Tom Pallone of the Jeanette Jayhawks, right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Welcome to the Seton Hill DPT program.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
2025 was another typical year at Jeanette as the Jayhawks won 8 games, including a playoff victory. However, they fell in the quarterfinals to Clairton, the eventual state champs. Now they must replace Kimani Brown, their superstar, but there's plenty of players back who are ready to uphold the tradition of Jeanette football.
The loss to the Bears by just 5 points showed how far the Jayhawks had come after they were whitewashed at home by Clairton at the midway point of the season. For the players who are back, like seniors Magi Sanders and Jace Powell, that game gives them greater belief heading into 2026.
Earlier in the season when we lost to Clairton, I felt like that was a fluke. Our team, they didn't bring as much effort, as much heart as we know we could. And then in the playoffs, we really brought that, and you could see what happened with the score.
A positive is that we gave the number 1 team in the state a run for their money. I mean, we bounced back from whatever the score was. I think it was 57-0. Bounced back from that to, 38-33. I mean, that's a great improvement, showing that our team is capable of doing things that people didn't know could be done. So just going out there and showing the world, I mean, bringing that into this year is going to be good, because we know that we can compete with them for sure.
Powell was one of the top receivers in the WPIAL last year, as he caught 45 passes for 950 yards. He'll be even more crucial this season, and he'll have the ball in his hands in any number of different ways. Speaking of versatile players, McAllister Steele figures to be a factor on offense as a receiver and tight end, while he'll serve as the kicker once again. Magi and younger brother Destin Sanders are likely to see plenty of touches from the backfield. The player likely to orchestrate the offense is sophomore Anthony Stuchel. Although it's unlikely he can replace the nearly 3,000 yards and 35 touchdowns Brown accounted for last year, he has shown some vital qualities.
I mean, his accuracy is on point all the time. He's a leader for sure, even though he's young. And he just does all the little things good. He's always on the line about doing certain things, and really making sure our receivers are working.
With a small roster once again, the Jayhawks may use some undersized players along the lines. One who is anything but undersized, though, is freshman Aiden Williams-McCrary, who is 6'5" and well above 300 pounds. With Thomas Pallone guiding this historic program, the Jayhawks are ready to protect the tradition and add to the trophy case.
It's a huge standard. Every day you got to go hard. Every practice is going hard. Like, you just got to give it your all every single day to be at Jeanette. Just being able to just go out every practice, just working hard, just have the dog in you, because it's not going to be easy. Every day is going to be hard, so just getting through the hard stuff and just being great.
Fill in the blank. This will be a successful season if
we win a state championship.
Jeanette opens its season at home hosting South Range, a team from Ohio. They'll finish up the regular season with a rivalry showdown at Clairton. This training camp preview is brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, now with online ordering at playitagainsports.com.
Money is more than a number or your bank account balance. Money is one of the culminations of your life's work. We at Hoffman Wealth Management want to learn about who you are, hear your goals, your dreams, and what you want to do in your life. We're more than just financial advisors. We're your partners on life's path. Hoffman Wealth Management views ourselves as an extension of your team. Contact us today to embark on a partnership that puts your goals and aspirations at the forefront.
There it is, the Wildcats championship belt for the Westmoreland Sports Network. You can only win that by pinfall or submission. Does not change hands via countout or disqualification. Sean Myers joined with a champion in his own right. Tommy Pallone, head coach of the Jeanette Jayhawks. First off, if I was you, I would go challenge Jack for that after you're done with this interview. That's a nice-looking belt.
That's a tall task for sure, but it is a nice-looking belt.
I want to talk about last season first. I know we're very excited for this 2026 season. I thought Jeanette had a pretty good showing, and one thing that was really cool was you could see how far the team came from the midway point of the season to the end of the season because you had two matchups against the Clairton Bears. They went on to win a state title. You play them at home, 57-0 loss in the regular season. It was about the midway point of the regular season. You play them at a neutral site in the postseason, 5-point loss, 38-33. What does that say about how your team got better from the midway point to the end of that season?
It says everything, I think. Is it on now?
They're both on.
They're both on, but thank you, Dan.
Dan's keeping us on our toes.
Thank you, Dan, for sure. But like you said, I think it's a tribute to our players. I think, to come back from that loss, obviously very embarrassing at home, to a team we consider a rival, and to get better every day and to buy into what we're coaching and what we want to do as a team. They really came out and showed out for that playoff game and just one or two plays away.
So ultimately, when you look back, was it a successful season?
No, because it didn't end with a belt or a trophy.
So looking at this season, you've got some big shoes to fill. Your quarterback, Kimani Brown, one of the best that we have seen in a long, long time. I don't know that he was the best Jeanette quarterback ever. That's probably a title you hold. Joking. But he was electric, and I don't know that you're going to be able to replace him anytime soon. So what was his impact on the program, and how much of a void does that leave?
Sure, tremendous impact. Obviously, he's on scholarship at Robert Morris, pretty special kid. On and off the field, his abilities were profound on Friday nights. You guys know that pretty well, especially being back-to-back player of the year. His stats are video game stats. He is the player he is because he's the person he was. So you're right. He's one of one. There's no replacing a kid like that. It's a special talent, generational talent. We move on by committee here to try to move this thing forward.
Well, certainly the cupboard is not bare. You return one of the best receivers in the WPIAL and Jace Powell. And I would imagine, just speculating, that you're probably going to get him involved in multiple ways this year. So what's his role going to be, and what makes him so good?
Same thing. I mean, the character, you can't hide in between the lines. He's a great person, great kid, and obviously a great player. He's a great wide receiver. We feel like we got some guys that can give him the ball at receiver, but of course, there's a couple wrinkles that, teams will have to wait to see the film to see those wrinkles. But it's his senior year. This is our last chance with him, and he's going to be involved in more plays than one in all three phases.
It's his senior year, but you have a freshman who I think has opened some eyes, an offensive lineman, Aiden Williams-McCary. He's opened eyes because he is maybe one of the biggest high school players I've seen in a long, long time. What's he, 6'5", about 315? Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Our O-line coach, Mason Hoyt, he was a scholarship kid out of Rochester, New York. I think he's, 6'3".
Played at Seton Hill?
Yeah, and he's more lean. I think, let's call him, sorry, Coach, let's call him like 250. He looks like a running back compared to that kid,
So when you have a player that big, but I think it's fair to say that raw, is it an extra point of emphasis to spend more time with him, seeing that you could unlock something special because of the physical traits?
More time with him. He spent more time with us. He's perfect attendance in the weight room. He wants to work. All the extra trips that we've been on, he's been there, putting in the extra time. So yeah, of course. He gives us the energy to put the time in with him, but he is phenomenal as a freshman so far, and I can't wait to see his growth.
Another guy that you had helping out, by the way, is sitting over there, John Bainbridge. What was appealing about having him come help?
I have some history with Coach Bainbridge. We were at Chartiers Valley together, and I think I learned more in that 1 year with him about offensive line protections and different run schemes than I have my whole career. And that's saying a lot because I was with Waynesburg with a lot of good coaching talent. So it just made sense. He's been invited every year I've been here. He's been too much in demand, with Seton Hill and other coaches around the Whitfield. So we're really lucky to have him. He's one of my really good friends, and we can't get enough our coaching staff when he's there, and we get a lot out of it. Obviously, our kids benefit the most.
When I talked to the kids earlier this week when we were doing our camp previews, everyone talked about the tradition. I think they all understand it. They see the win total closing in on 800, but for them to fully embrace that seems pretty special. So how is that carried down from year to year, from class to class, and at this point, probably generation to generation?
Sure. I just think it's a Jeanette thing. I think it's back. We say when we got here, protected tradition, because it's always under attack, right? There's people who want to play us and just to beat us. For example, our Week 0 team, a team from Youngstown has come to play us, and they're a traditional powerhouse.
And you said they have a massive roster as well.
Yeah, 60 kids, and we want to swing our sword at them. I think these kids understand what it means to be a Jeanette Jayhawk and what it means to wear that jersey every Friday night. And it's obvious, like you just said, they want to come in every day, get better, no matter the challenge, and swing their sword at these people.
And your roster's in the 20s at this point?
Yes.
So I asked John Thompson from GCC the same thing. How do you manage that? Because everyone's going to have to probably play, but you don't want to overtax them early and then lose guys and not even have enough to play a game later in the season.
Yeah, for sure. But look, football's football. Well, we need to practice football to get good football. I think we're very creative in how we do that in practice. And like I said, our kids embrace it. They're out there playing both ways, scratching and clawing every down.
What were the takeaways from scrimmage against Valley?
Pleasantly surprised. I saw some guys step up that I really didn't expect to. Some freshmen, some sophomores. We only have 4 seniors. So like you said, there's a lot of roles on both sides of the ball, and I really liked the effort of a lot of our young guys.
Fill in the blank. This will be a successful season if
we come away with a championship. I think, our conference is not first and foremost. I think, we have the best conference in single A. It's obvious, Clarendon winning it all last year, them being in the final the year before that, everything goes through our conference. So that's our first and foremost goal. And we think we can compete again for a conference crown.
And you know all too well what it means to be a Jayhawk player. I know that we talk about the tradition and what it means to the current group, but what makes Jeanette so special for you?
It's home. This is where I grew up. The neighborhood's on the traditional Italian side of town. We grew up playing football in the playground across from the stadium. It's home. This is where I grew up playing football, learned the game, fell in love with it, learned about hard work, lifted in Hall's gym. So it's deeply, deeply rooted in my family and in my football life.
Tommy, thanks so much for doing this. Good to see you once again.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me.
That is Tommy Pallone, the head coach of the Jeanette Jayhawks. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will jump up to Class 5A with the Greater Latrobe Wildcats and their head coach, Tom McIntyre. That's as we continue right here on the Westmoreland County High School Kickoff Show on WSN.
Wildcat Championship Belts recognizes that every game, every practice, every drop of sweat, it all leads to this moment. Because champions deserve more than a trophy. They deserve something that lasts. At Wildcat Championship Belts, we craft custom student-athlete belts built for pride, passion, and performance. Fully personalized, handcrafted quality, 100% championship energy. Celebrate your team's legacy with Wildcat Championship Belts, where every athlete can be a champion.
This training camp preview is presented by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg. Shop online at playitagainsports.com.
Under the first year of head coach Tom McIntyre in 2025, Greater Latrobe won just 2 games and missed the postseason. They weren't that far away from a playoff spot, however, a couple of conference losses, each by 3 points. Now under their second-year head coach, they look to take a step forward in 2026.
Part of Greater Latrobe's struggles can be attributed to the absence of Andy Tash, who barely played last year due to injury. Although he's now at Lehigh, the bulk of the contributors are back. As a result, the Wildcats are further along now than they were at this time a year ago, says quarterback Dom Scarden and receiver Eli Meter.
I absolutely feel more comfortable with everybody and all the returning starters. We have about, I think it was 8 kids returning on the offensive side. And I think last year was definitely a growth for everybody. And this year, everyone's more comfortable. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do, and its execution is much better.
But I think we got a bunch of returners on offense that are going to be weapons this year. 7 or 8 guys that are new. So just, like Dom said, a lot more comfortability. We've been executing well this year and hoping to build off that.
Scarden earned the lion's share of the snaps behind center last year with mixed results. He has prototypical size for the position, though, and he'll have a new weapon as Ty Wisniewski shifts from QB to receiver. He believes Scarden can have a breakthrough senior campaign.
I've seen a lot of good stuff in practice. Leadership. He leads the huddle, commands the huddle real well. And then when it comes to just making plays, ball's always where it needs to be on the right time. So
Meter will be another prominent target for Scarden, while A.J. Yaboa and Dante Duragon will see extensive time in the backfield. The rushing attack could be much improved, aided by an offensive line that features Dylan Miller and Brady Cronenwetter.
I expect a lot from our line because we have like 4 returning starters. We were pretty young last year. This year we're a lot more experienced, a lot better, newer or older. So I expect we're going to be a lot better than we were last year. We're going to turn some heads.
Although the Wildcats offense struggled for much of the year, the defense kept them in several games. Miller will be a big part of that unit, as will Pickle Burkett. Remaining in the Class 5A Big East Conference, the Wildcats know they'll be underdogs against the likes of Penn Trafford and Woodland Hills. McIntyre now knows what to expect, though, and he bolstered his staff by adding former Greater Latrobe head coach Jason Maruco, who is already paying dividends with the receivers.
He's been great. One of my favorite coaches that have come along. He's been great with the receivers. His offensive mindset. He's brought a lot to the offense this year.
The Wildcats open their season renewing a rivalry with the home matchup against the Derry area Trojans. Their first conference game in 5A is at Gateway, and then they wrap up the season with another conference matchup at home against Penn Trafford. This training camp report is brought to you by Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, now with online ordering at playitagainsports.com.
At D'Annunzio's Italian Restaurant in Latrobe, you don't want to miss our Sunday brunch buffet. We have many traditional breakfast items which are a mainstay every Sunday. We also have various salad selections and our historic wedding soup. We even have a carving station with ham and prime rib. The luncheon selections on the buffet change weekly, and stopping at the dessert table to complete your Sunday brunch buffet is simply a must. Call to reserve your spot with reservations starting at 10 and brunch concludes at 2.
Back here on Westmoreland Sports Network, live from beautiful Manor Valley Golf Course as we continue our coverage here for our high school football kickoff show. Jack Ridenauer joined by the head coach of the Greater Latrobe Wildcats, Coach Tom McIntyre. Coach, first off, my friend, year one in the books, year two is ahead of you. What were the biggest takeaways you had after that first season?
Yeah, I think you learn a lot. I've been around the game a long time and coached for a long time, and the first year in that role, I think a lot of things stay the same and a lot of things are different. Outside of the practice hours, certainly some new things to get used to, but other than that, not a whole lot changed. Going into the off season, I had a little more time to think about that and plan it out and kind of make it my own. So, I think that's exciting going into this season because that's where it all starts.
Where have you noticed the biggest growth from this group from this preseason to last preseason?
The guys that have been around for a while, the leadership, we're kind of turning the page from a few years ago when we had a nice year, 3 years in a row making the playoffs and getting some playoff wins. Now we kind of turned the page over to a new group that didn't really experience that. Some of the guys were on the roster but didn't necessarily play. And, they're kind of making their own. And the leadership roles that they took and really embraced, I think it made the offseason a lot easier because a lot of times they run it themselves.
Well, I know that you had a big addition to the coaching staff. Jason Maruco, once head coach at Greater Latrobe, now coming back, helping you out. What has that been like getting with him, having him on the staff, and what's it been like being able to pick his brain some?
Oh, it's been great. He's been a great friend of mine for a long time. Our paths crossed a lot of ways, but we never coached together up until now. We both spent time at Latrobe before, both spent time at Mount Pleasant. And when he finally agreed to come back on staff this year, it was a huge win for us. Everything he brings knowledge-wise in the room, just the culture, he's a great team guy, and the kids love him. The kids love working for him. Offensively, he brings so much experience and the way he can break down film. Just a great guy on all levels of coaching.
I know last year was not the year that you wanted to have record-wise, but there were some really close games that were in the mix there. How do you feel that a season like that, faced with a little bit of adversity, taught the team to kind of fight through that, push through that, and can apply that into this season?
Yeah, we were really proud of the kids at how they fought through that year, and the tangible results weren't coming as often as we'd like. We won 2 games, and a lot of times we felt we had a pretty good football team. We won. Beat a playoff team in Plum, Gateway, and Armstrong down to the wire, basically down to the last play of the game, and we end up on the wrong side of it. So that was a big thing in the offseason. Those details matter. It's cliche to say football is a game of inches, but it really was in those cases. And, we had to turn the page and understand that as we prepared the offseason, those details are what makes the difference when the season starts. So we've really paid attention to details and cleaning those up. Again, I'm proud of how they fought through it last year because those experiences, for a lot of young kids, freshmen and sophomores, never giving up, fighting through the last whistle there in the last game, that experience is so valuable moving into this year and knowing that, if we can get on the right side of some of those, I think the future looks pretty promising for a lot of those kids.
I want to stick with your quarterback, Dom Scarton, and the job that he's done last year and obviously heading into this season. How much growth have you seen from him, but also how much have you seen him take on that leadership role like you were talking about?
Yeah, he's been great. I can't say enough about what he's done this offseason. 3 years ago, he was playing football for the first time. He didn't play his freshman year, so as a sophomore, he was really learning the game, how to practice and everything. And then a year later, he's a starting quarterback in 5A football. He stayed the line. He kept his head on straight through the highs and lows last year. And I think the experience he gained was so valuable. I think the game has slowed down for him. He's seeing things now that were maybe a second late last year. His arm strength, there's no question. I'm sure you've seen the clip from the scrimmage this weekend. He could throw the ball as well as anybody around, and I think mentally the way he's processing everything, and leadership isn't always sought after everybody. He's not a big rah-rah guy, but just the way he conducts himself and stays focused and the way he works, I think a lot of kids hop on board with him. And this summer we played some really good teams in 7-on-7, and it was intended to be that way. We wanted to face the best competition because that's where we want to see ourselves here and at the end of the season. And I think we went up to Penn State, played 3 6A quarterfinalists. We played a state champion, and I think 1 interception. I don't know how many touchdowns, but he had a great day up there. He had a great day at the county, and I think that confidence certainly builds on everything that he accomplished last year.
One of the really big key returners, Brady Cronenwetter, he's continued to be that focal point on the line, and again, another leader as well. How has he kind of started to be the guy that everybody goes to, and how much have you seen him take on that role?
Now, Brady's a guy that he accepts and thrives in that leadership role. He's the only senior on the offensive line, and he knows those guys follow him. He wants that role. He loves it. He's the kind of kid that I would want my own kid to be just like when he gets older. He's a hard worker. He's nice to everybody. He treats the young kids, like they're his little brother, and just works all the time. He's in the weight room on days that we're off. He's working on the field after practice, and kids see it. They want to do it. They want to kind of emulate the leader that he is, and to have a kid like that and the experience he has, our offensive line is a really, really tight group. And I credit to him to a lot of that. He's like the father of that offensive line group. They were young last year. We played freshmen, sophomores, and those kids still look up to him, as if the veteran that he is, and he embraces it. And he sets a great example for him. He's a great student. You won't find a teacher in the hallway that doesn't have great things to say about him. So that's the kind of kid you want on your football team, and especially leading an offensive line group. He's the kind of guy you want steering that ship.
How much confidence did you start to have in him last year and coming into this year, and how much do you feel that he's kind of like an extended coach out on the field?
For sure. He's so smart, and he knows all his assignments. He knows everybody else's assignments. There were times last year that other guys on the line were checking with him, and he's kind of giving orders at the line there. He's left guard. Gammon Owens is a left tackle. Those two, you could see the improvement each week last year. And we have really high hopes for both of those two. Vinny Calabrese, the center next to him, they played together last year. We've had a Calabrese on the team, I think, every year that I've been at Latrobe, and that's a good thing. I wish there were more of them. Great lineman there, and the intelligence part of it too. Mason Munchinsky, our right guard, he's taking classes with seniors in a lot of his classes that he has, AP classes, and that the intelligence that our offensive line brings is, certainly when fronts are changing and stunts are happening in front of them, they got to sort things out in a matter of seconds. And, having guys like Brady and those guys I spoke of, it certainly helps.
Talk a little bit about the wide receiver room. I know that's also a really big kind of experience group on the team. And how have you started to see the relationship that they have with Dom start to grow on the field?
Yeah, when we talk about Dom's success, a lot of that is just getting used to those guys and having confidence in those guys. When we talk about the success we had a few years back, Eli Meter was part of it. He scored big touchdowns in that year 2 years ago at Gateway, at Armstrong. Really won us a couple of those games, I think, that year as a sophomore. Ty Wisniewski, he plays all over the field. And this summer was one of the most dynamic kids that we saw in a lot of the 7-on-7s. I mean, every game we played, he was making plays that kind of jumped off the page and people took notice of. Him and Dom are really, really close friends, and when you're throwing the ball to one of your best friends, there's a special connection there. Tristan Letty, who was primarily a defensive player, coming over on the offensive side now. He's a big physical kid, certainly helps that receiver room. And then Alex Ammond, another one that played a lot more on the defensive side, but showed supreme athleticism in basketball season last year. I was watching games, I saw speed out of him that I never saw before. And he's a guy that we're really, really excited about, kind of like how Sawyer Butina thrust into that role last year. And then finally, Preston Miller, a track kid, coming on to football team now, playing wide receiver. All those guys I just mentioned are seniors. So when you have that kind of experience and leadership, and then the quarterback can kind of have a comfort with those guys, it certainly makes running your offense a lot easier.
Well, it sounds like you have all the pieces in place to have a really successful season. Before we let you run, what do you think it'll be about this team that can be the separating factor for you guys amongst your conference opponents that can get you guys back to the top of the conference and back into the playoffs?
It's the details. It's the way we prepare. It's the way we stretch. It's the way that we execute plays, not missing guys, executing to perfection as many times as we can. No game's ever perfect, but the more perfect plays you can have, you put yourself in a better situation. And those details were the difference last year in a lot of games that we look back and, you say you coulda, shoulda, woulda. And this year we hope to be on the other end of that by cleaning up those details. And, the experience lends its hand in that in a lot of ways. So football being a game of inches, we hope to get a few more inches than we had last year.
Well, Coach, excited for this season, excited to see you guys hit the field. Thanks so much for stopping by, and good luck this year.
Thanks a lot. Thank you guys for everything you guys do here covering us.
It's Greater Latrobe head coach Tom McIntyre. Stick with us. We have a fun finale coming up next right here live from Manor Valley Golf Course and on the Westmoreland Sports Network.
Game day or any day, the power of Bowser is here to get you where you need to go. From the latest Hyundai, Nissan, Subaru, Chevrolet, GMC, Buick, and Genesis models to quality pre-owned vehicles, Bowser has the perfect lineup for your drive. Look for a winning deal. Bowser's got the plays, great financing, top trade-in values, and a selection that's always in season. From the first whistle to the final buzzer, Bowser Automotive is your hometown MVP. Bowser Automotive, Route 51 South on top of the hill. PowerofBowser.com.
The Manor Valley Golf Course and Export is proud to announce the opening of their new banquet facility. It's perfect for sports banquets, Christmas parties, and weddings. This new facility can hold up to 180 people, so if you have an event coming up, Manor Valley Golf Course can host it. Golfers, they specialize in league play, fundraising outings, and have great membership rates. Give them a call at 724-744-4242 or online at manorvalleygc.com.
At Elliott Community Federal Credit Union, we're here to make your financial journey easier and more rewarding. With open membership to all that live, work, worship, or study in Westmoreland County, everyone can take advantage of our competitive loan rates, whether you're doing home improvements, buying a car, or making a personal purchase. Plus, enjoy free checking and online banking with remote deposits so you can manage your money anytime, anywhere. Elliott Community Federal Credit Union. Make our house your financial home.
Welcome back here to Manor Valley. Sean and Jack, to put a bow on this one, Jack, we talked to a lot of coaches. We appreciate all of them coming out, and what that means is we are less than a week away from actual high school football games, and on our side of things, actual high school football broadcasts.
It's hard to believe, Sean, that we're already to this point of the year. Summer has flown by. I think I was mentioning with either Coach McIntyre or somebody, hard to believe the summer is already gone, but really excited for this season. Obviously, you can catch us every Friday night on Westmoreland Sports Network. All of our broadcasts are archived and whatnot. You can watch this later on as well. This will be archived. So really excited for this season, Sean.
Yeah, and I know we had a couple of coaches that were hoping to make it. It just didn't work with their schedule. Braden Timmons, the new coach of Kiski area. Kevin May, the head man for the Seton Hill Griffins, which, by the way, on Saturdays we'll be covering Griffins football for most of the season as well. But the other thing, Jack, that I think is so great is that it's not just the live games, but we do so much all throughout the entire fall season for football. Westmoreland on the Gridiron, we've got articles, we've got recaps, we've got a lot of good stuff on social media. There's a lot of reasons to follow WSN.
Without question, you have Monday notebooks, obviously. You have Recruiting Thursdays as well. We have all sorts of pregame fun as well when we have our football broadcasts come on 30 minutes before kickoff, so you get 30 minutes of great coverage. And then we also have this bad boy brought to you by our friends over at Wildcat Belts. Is that right, Ricky? Wildcat Belts. This will be for our
championship
MVP.
Belts, Jack.
Championship belts, but this is for an MVP. So this will be worn by our MVP of the game after every game. How we will get that down to our player of the game, we don't know yet. But tune in, find out, and it's heavy, Sean.
10 pounds?
Here, you feel it. I mean, it's heavy, man.
I need two hands. Yes, this is heavy.
It's very heavy.
In past years, we used to have Aaron Albert join us on behalf of Kiski area, where his dad was the head coach. He was a former wrestler that knows all about championship belts, so he would appreciate that. You're lucky he's not here because he would be challenging you. We got to give a lot of shout-outs, right? We have, a dozen or so people with our staff that have not been on camera. Ricky Pitzer is here, Matt Palumbo, Dante Parsons, Roger Downs. Who else do we have here? JW was on camera.
Yes.
He's taken off. John Bainbridge was here. Allie Hathaway, shout out. She is interning, I believe, throughout the fall.
Should we give Dan a shout out?
Who?
Oh, yeah. I don't know who I'm talking about.
Dave Oliverio was here.
Dave Oliverio, yes, he was
as
here.
well. Yes, and of course, Dan Flickinger, the man behind the scenes making this all come to life. Any final thoughts, Jack?
Fired up for Fridays, my friend. Can't come quick enough, and should be a great season.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone. I think we had 15 coaches in total who made it out here today. Everyone at Manor Valley as well for accommodating us. Vince DeAugustine, chief amongst them. That's going to do it. You know where to catch us next. It'll be Friday night. We will have live games. And, of course, we mentioned every day you want to check out our website throughout the fall. For Jack Ridenhour, for all of our great crew, Sean Myers signing off. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Westmoreland County High School Football Kickoff Show right here on the Westmoreland Sports Network.